that we were traveling the mountains just to find the loudest tears. We sat down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. I remember the ocean, memories die out too hard. But we were traveling the mountains just to find the loudest tears. We sat down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. I'm in a tropic club.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you.
Hello everybody, and for the second time today, welcome back to the Matching German Masters here at the Intermission, as we welcome now the Robertson Derby with Jimmy and Neil Robertson playing against each other on table number 2, but the main action is about to start on table number 1, featuring the world number 1 up against the former World Open winner. So Guodong and Judd are going to be another battle ahead of ourselves for one of them to reach a semi-final clash with no other Ali Carter. His confident defeat of Xiao and Stuart Bingham earlier today. He was able to make himself certainly a player to not be underestimating there. The underdog of the tournament coming into the first day here at Berlin. So now that will fancy his chances for a good run at the German Masters, but that's the beautiful statement there. Although the keyboard control could have been better from Trump's point of view, as he gets the ready to the left corner, plays the backspin wonderfully there. Despite him making the highlights reel with his first shot that he's played, he's going to have to try and settle for another attempt there. Keyboard's going to be behind the green. Guodong needs to try and find his way here straight away. Hey, old Trump, too good to think. Yes, agree. Absolutely agree with that one, because you know, I've looked at the head briefly and was really surprised at just the number of times that these two have met in the UK Championship. 4 times, if my math is correct. And of all the 12 meetings in between the two of them, of course excluding the Championship League, they've got 2 wins for Xiao, and all the other matches have been won by Judd. So the world number 1 has been cruising through so far in this tournament, defeating Watchalong and Ryan Day with the same score, 5 frames to 0. And then Xiao was a bit of a tester earlier on, but as soon as Trump was able to get a couple of frames in between himself and his opponent, and right away he's looking at this ready to the middle, and I would say a smart shot, as long as he hasn't left anything into the right corner, because, you know, the way that he's played this shot into the Guodong, clearly can't believe what he's seen in front of him, so maybe suggesting that he has actually left him something. But the reason why I said he wouldn't is because he's nowhere near being on the pin, despite missing that shot on the right middle. Well, I mean, the way that Guodong is talking about this plan is you can't miss it, but I say you can't pot it. So much distance between the 2 reds, and so much of an angle work that needs to be done. But I mean, he was looking at this one with interest for a reason. It's a brilliant plan there. Music's still on because someone is an idiot. And, thank you very much for telling me that. Well, it was always going to happen at some point, but you really don't want to be seeing that to happen on against the world number 1. Now then, thank you for that, as I say. And the pink is in the middle pocket, so Guodong is on a run. But listen, you can ride people off there, but you can do it at your own risks, because despite him being the world number 1, Judd doesn't have a brilliant record this season. And of course, when he's gone on to reach the semi-final stage, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's gone on to be the runner-up every single time this season. Because when it comes to the last 4, he always seems to make it into the final, but doesn't quite get the title so far in 2025, and now trying to do it in 2026 too. You know, had a decent run at the Masters, but that didn't really last against John Higgins. But the problem, and I'd say the advantage that Judd has, is that I'm thinking about it right now, but to everyone who's lost the title to, I think they're all eliminated. So he's lost the title to Jack. He's no longer participating, by the way, because of Guodong, who knocked him out in the second round of the main draw. Then he lost out to Mark Selby at the Champion of Champions and at the UK Championship. As meanwhile, Xiao tries to take all the pace away from the cue ball and lands it really nicely on the black. So 13 points advantage. Guodong, one of best improved players of the year. I mean, certainly. I mean, he announced himself to the world massively when he won the Wuhan Open in 2024. And I was actually thinking about it. That's probably the worst tournament for him to win twice. Nothing to do with the actual tournament, because, you know, he's got ranking points-wise, he's number 11 right now. So that also makes a lot of difference if you make it into the top 10, but it's a lot more difficult for you to try and defend the same title twice, though, because if you win it in 2024 and you win it in 2025, well, the same tournament, you're going to lose basically 200,000 ranking points or something like that in 2 years' time, unless you're able to replicate that campaign, which is why sometimes when you've got the variety of titles and you say, well, listen, I know I'm going to lose ranking points, but I've always got other tournaments to try and prioritize. And then also, if I reach the semi-final stage here and there, then it might not be as faithful, but Xiao needs those ranking points. You know, that was the statement put out by the likes of Karen Wilson and Ronnie O'Sullivan, obviously saying that he needs to try and get himself to play into the rhythm ahead of the Worlds. And he wasn't able to do so this tournament, but hopefully we'll be seeing more of him at the Hong Kong Grand Prix, as he's destined to play against Joe O'Connor, someone that has actually been a really good person for him to be playing in the first round, because the last time those two have met, O'Sullivan became on to be the runner-up of the Saudi Arabian Masters and had a brilliant and almost a mesmerizing campaign, making 2 maximums in the same match, and also just announcing himself to the world that, you know, you give him the UQ, and all of a sudden, he's going to be a real threat to the society, as he has been throughout his entire career. And 25 points right now is the advantage of Xiao Guodong in terms of the reds that he's got available. He's got 4 of those, which I'd say he's got a really good chance of trying to pot at the same time. And, well, probably 5 of them, to be fair, because if you put one of the 2 reds next to the cluster, you may as well just classify as the other one into the same category too. But despite him actually being the first player to land that red, he didn't really have a good follow-up shot to it. Xiao Guodong was able to recover from being pot in behind the green. And right now has got a really good opportunity ahead of him to try and go frame up now on the world number 1. And the players have met in the World Grand Prix, as I said, the European Masters, at the time that tournament was still relevant. The UK Championship, and a couple of times at the Scottish Open and Championship League. But this is going to be one of the biggest tournaments of Xiao Guodong's life, of course, with him trying to beat the world number 1 and be a real threat there. You know, not a lot of people might be actually considering him to be the force that can go on to win the title, but I think that's about to change if he is to be the winner of the match and defeat the world number 1. Someone that has been trying to end his title drought for over 14 months right now, ever since his triumph at the UK Championship the season before. But now it's another red, which Xiao Guodong is able to get into the right corner, and now just forces the cue ball to land quite nicely on the black. And yeah, he's just trying to force himself an angle here, I think. Trying to get around those reds and basically just make his way onto the black, and then just use the black ball cushion to have the cue ball bounce away and get himself lined up pretty nicely on the following shot. So for now, he's trying to go really deep into the shred, and I think that's gone wrong. How wrong, though? Well, I think he put himself in quite a difficult position there on the previous shot, but because of how little angle he had on the cue ball, and on the black, I should say, he wasn't really able to try and force enough of it to get around the red, which would have been the easiest shot for him to play. And in the end, just, well, probably forcing himself to try and go for the green pocket right now. Can't really see him trying to cut this red into the right middle either. So, yeah, he is going for the shot into the green pocket. This needs to be cued really well. And he needs to make sure that the red disappears, because with no loose reds onto the cushions, and he knew it, as soon as he hit that red, he knew that he didn't make it into the pocket. And I think he's been really unlucky there, because despite him getting a bit of backspin on the cue ball, that red has bounced from the green pocket and has gone all the way to the yellow pocket. I think to an extent that Judd can just about see it. But that was at the first glance that I had. Probably not going to say that right now, with him being forced to play a safety shot instead. And just forcing the cue ball onto the black ball cushion. Now having a look to see if he can try and basically block all of those reds now for Xiao Guodong. He's not going to have anything available to him. And yeah, he can try and do the damage to Judd here. But I think the most important part for Xiao Guodong is going to be to try and dictate his own play You know, if he's going to be able to keep Judd Trump in his chair, that's absolutely fine. But he still needs to try and make sure he does the thing that Ali Carter has done so well that gets him into the semi-final, the thing that Sean Murphy has done that got him into the semi-final too. How the fuck he's been playing this tournament, please? Well, there was a bit of the odd comment there of match against Sean Murphy and Kyle Wilson, and I've seen in a couple of shots there with the reds being faded away, but that's more like the cloth I'm talking about. The pockets, I'd say they've been bit weird sometimes, but mostly forgiving, I would say, because I've seen a couple of those, you know, when you play a shot alongside the cushion and with very little pace, I've seen those go in. But, you know, I think about the match of Ali Carter against Ronnie O'Sullivan. I think about Shusi against Mark Selby. There have been a lot of misses out there, but as Judd Trump has said multiple times in his career, he's usually so great when it comes to making the most out of those pockets. Well, now he needs to live up to those expectations. And as I say, I mean, so far, he's done really well. 2 frames lost in the 17 that he's played. So, yeah, once again, the highest seed left out in the tournament after the world number 2. And the reigning champion has been knocked out. Still has Neil, for company. As he has been in the UK Championship before, at the Champion of Champions 2 at this stage. And on both of those occasions, Robertson's gone on to reach the semi-final. But on this occasion, he's going to be on the other part of the draw to Trump. But what a shot he just played there. Brilliant there from Trump. And don't let the lack of distance in between the cue ball and the red get in the head of yourself, because that was a fantastic shot that he's played. Getting that cue ball to land perfectly on the paint. But also, I mean, how difficult must that have been? Trying to play the shot from the cushion. Well, pretty much from the black ball cushion. And he's got it absolutely brilliantly. And you can make that pocket about as tight as he can only fit one red. And he still be able to get that red absolutely beautifully in. Trump announcing himself to the world as if there was a need for even more PR from his point of view. The world number 1. And interesting fact about those two, both of them 36 years of age. And I always think that someone like Xiao that has broken onto the scene in a massive, fashion, like he has, you know, winning the one Open twice, being certainly knocking on the door there of being inside the top 10. I actually feel like, you know, he feels a bit younger there, Xiao in terms of what he's achieved here, but still has got a lot of time ahead of him. But so does Judd Trump, and despite him being criticised, me included probably, to an extent that he only has become a world champion once, he still has got a couple of years, at least, to try and make it a double, maybe triple, or even a quadruple world champion in the coming years. Some might say, you know, he had so many years where he was trying to show his form very much at the start of the season. Well, if that drought keeps on coming, which, by the way, I don't think it will. I think before the World Championship, Judd Trump is guaranteed to win one of those titles. He's been playing really well, and I think he just needs a bit of tutoring, and say that with sarcasm, of course, but he needs just a bit of luck sometimes to come his way, and also he needs to make sure he's able to sort out those deciders, because every single time he gets knocked out of the tournament this season, he just seems to be coming at a decider. He hasn't won one this season, so that's certainly a thing to watch out for. If Guodong is able to last 8 frames, he may be very much able to have stats and numbers on his name and be the man to beat in the semi-final at the end of this match too. We are going to be looking at the Robertson Derby meanwhile, because that's going to be played very much next to us with the way the Tempodrome is set up. I don't think we're going to be using the second table from today's point onwards, because it's going to be all down to a one-table format, with the semi-final being played tomorrow at the afternoon and evening session, and then the final being spread out at 2 sessions too. Been some maximum this tournament, yes, so I do think about you're going to see, so watch out for the content on the channel. I think we are going to start to do some of the highlights from the actual tournament. Let's see if that's going to work out, because I did send some of the templates to YouTube, so let's see how they respond with it. But basically, yeah, to answer your question, particularly Zhang Anda in his match against Barry Hawkins, and in the opening frame, of course, which I always said that maximum of Ronnie O'Sullivan against Chris Wakelin has been super impressive because of him having that ability to try and basically get the first red in and then go on to make a 147. Well, Zhang Anda's done that, and make no mistake about it, that has been a brilliant maximum that he's made. And getting it very much at the long red alongside the right side cushion. You know, still nowhere near very comfortable on the black. By the way, just focus on the clearance that Trump has had, because he's just played a wonderful shot from the black onto the yellow. Didn't really have a lot of issues coming to this point, but I think he's going to have some now. You know, the transition from green to brown is not going to be straightforward here because of pink being in the way. So he needs to play it into the green pocket, but once again, just lovely use of spin there from Chomp. It's still not going to be perfect, but it should be good enough for him to try and play the shot of backspin. Once again, it reminds me badly of that shot that he's missed against Higgins, which basically cost him the appearance in the Masters final. Would have been some staged out for the world number 1 to appear once again. But he's not going to miss it this time. So he plays it really nicely. So he needs the blue, which is under run for slightly, so just needs to try and cut this one in with pretty much, well, very little extra pace certainly, as he rolls it in nicely. So 13 points advantage, 13 at the table, but as he now plays for the pink, it is gonna be 65 points of a clearance for Judd Trump. He's not gonna bother about the black because he doesn't need to, and it is now Judd Trump 1, Xiao Guodong 0, and despite the player from China having that good opening chance there, he was unable to make the most out of it, and as you would expect from Trump's point of view, he's going to be very dangerous from behind in terms of the points that he's got. And, you know, sometimes when you've got 50 points advantage, as we've seen with Xiao in the UK Championship, with Judd Trump playing that match, you know, he was really impressive, the clearance that he's made. And in the end, it is now going to be, once again, the world number 1 being very much the favourite when it comes to this match. Let's have a look how Neil and Jimmy Robertson are doing. So Robertson, I just realised, yeah, Robertson obviously, but Neil Robertson has taken the opening frame. No surprise there either. And once again, Neil Robertson is going to have a brilliant chance here at the second frame because there was a mistake from Jimmy. So the Robertson derby just seems to go the way of the Australian for now. Of course, we've got the 2 man from England already in the semi-finals. Could still have a man from England, the man from Australia, or the man from China. Depends on the way these 2 are going to go. Trump on the roll, I think, well, my definite shout for the title right now, because I'm not going to say that I would have predicted it anyway. I would have had Wilson, 100% I would have had Wilson as a favourite to win the whole thing. Second one, I don't actually know. I'd have to think about it. Probably someone like Murphy or Selby. And then fourth one probably would be Trump behind those 2, yeah. Maybe I'd just put him slightly ahead of Murphy. So maybe it would have been Wilson, Selby, Trump, Murphy that way. So very much all English top 4. And one could say that I underestimated Neil Robertson to some extent, but we'll have to wait and see if he's going to be able to defeat Jamie Robertson and then play. Is he going to be... So, Sean Murphy, he's going... Ooh, that's going to be a cracking semi-final. I don't think we've seen an appearance of Sean Murphy against Neil Robertson this season. I think we should have seen one, but it was Jackson Page that broke onto the scene at the English Open, defeated both of them before ultimately losing out to Mark Selby for him to be playing Joey Long. So basically, yeah, I've just realised that whoever was playing in that part of the draw was losing the next round because you had, well, Jackson Page managed to beat 2 top seeded players. Then he lost to Selby. Then Selby lost to Joey Long. And then Joey Long lost to Mark Cullen too. By the way, what's happening to Mark Cullen? Because he had a really good start and a midway through the season, he had a really good part in there to play. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's dropping like flies there. Because well, he's slightly unlucky, to be fair. I've seen highlights of the match against Murphy. I'm not going to say I've seen all of it, but he was very unlucky with the way that Murphy made the opening century. But with a fluke that he got into the right middle. But apart from that, you have to say it was a complete domination from Murphy, as he has been today. against the defending champion. But for now, it is going to be Xiao Guodong straight after the break off from Chomp. And he's gone for this shred. Has he made it though? No, he hasn't. I thought he was actually going quite straight into the pocket, but in the end, just catching the jaw with a minor effect. And no matter how wide or tight the pockets are, you're never going to make this shot at that speed and at the angle that the red was going into the right corner. But ultimately, because he was playing for the bold colours anyway, I think he does have a nice ability to try and maybe force Trump to just settle for a safety shot right now. I don't think he's got any long shots available. And that means he's going to have to try and take his foot off the gas pedal for the time being. For a split second, I thought he had the chance to miss the raid, which he was playing at the end for a safety shot and trying to find the edge for one of those raids to try and guide them into the left corner, because he was on a roll in terms of the performance with the long shot game that he had against Xiao. And they basically were trading the brilliant long shots that they had very much at the start of the match, but in the end Trump was able to make the most out of the chances that were presented to him and still managed to take that match 5-2. And yeah, I don't know why, but I'm getting a feeling there has been a second maximum this tournament too, but I think it's probably because of the attempts that we've had. So Xiao should be the only one that has actually been made after, 3 or 4 that we had at the Championship League by Chris Wakelin, Wu Yize, Xiao Xington, and I think there was someone else. Xiao Guodong, there we go. The one that is going to be at the table right now. Just forcing the cue ball in behind the black, but I don't think he's played a good shot there. Sorry, that was Trump. Xiao Guodong is about to play the shot right now. I think, yeah, so in that case, Trump hasn't played too good of a shot because he's left the red available here into the left middle. Bin 2, has there? I don't know. Honestly, I can't tell you. Can't tell you. Xiao 1, and then what's the second one? You're gonna have to tell me. I know there was an attempt there from Wilson on 2 of those occasions, but yeah, as I said, that was a really good shot from Xiao Guodong, but a really poor shot from Chomp to allow that raid to be possible into the middle, because the way that you can try and roll those in, as long as you don't catch them on the back jaw, you should be fine in terms of not giving any of those away. And yeah, now he's got a really good chance, just like he had in the first frame though. So don't get ahead of yourself just yet for him to be the winner of the frame. Trump was able to produce a comeback on 1 occasion. There's no guarantee that that's not going to be a recurring theme in the entire match here, because Judd is actually one of the players that I'd say has been on the one of the best players on the tour when it comes to, his 50 or 60 points down, and then he still manages to find those remaining 4 or 5 raids with high value colours and get himself right back in this frame. And more times than not actually be able to win it. I think you're always going to have to say that someone like John Higgins has to be number 1. But then, yeah, I'd say Trump is going to be certainly a honourable mention for me. And, well, the world number 1 for a reason. But for now, Xiao Guodong just seems to be, well, trying to stay on the black. So you never know. Maybe the second maximum that you're referring to was a bit of a back to the future. For now, of course, he still has got 26 shots on the black and the red, until he's going to be trying to get that 6-colour clearance to be very much over and done with. But for now, I mean, he's probably ended his maximum hopes here straight away because of the way that he's played for this red. Check just 1 max. Yeah, that's fine, as I say, because I think it would have been such a headline story. I don't think we've had 2 maximums at the many tournaments this season. I know we had, obviously, 2 at the Saudi Masters made by, well, we had 3 actually, because there was Chipchaya that made 1 as well in his match. I can't actually remember. I think it was against Jordan Brown. Oh, Xiao Guodong. Yeah, you see, unfortunately, I think this is going to be pressure at the early stage of these frames. He's made the mess of the brilliant position that he had, and this is why me and many others said that Trump is going to dominate this clash. Unfortunately, especially with us not seeing those mistakes in the opening frame, those mistakes are going to be the downfall of Xiao Guodong, and they're going to be the thing that can potentially lead this match to finish in, under 3 hours certainly, but maybe under 8 or 7 frames here too. For now, I can't say that Trump has played the best shot on the red, because the brown being out of position, well, not like he would have held, but he can try and go for this brown now, with it being slightly higher up than the cue ball. And yeah, you can try and go for the green, and yeah, just finish on the maximum. Yeah, it would have been such a big story that you would have seen it on social media anyway for the snooker portals. But yeah, I think Saudi Masters was the point that we've had to. I think we had a couple of the UK, but they're all been in the qualifiers, because I can think of Liam Pullen and Chang Min Yu making 2 at the UK. I don't think there's been one at the main draw though. Had a couple of droughts. Had a couple at Wuhan Open too. And meanwhile, Trump has gone for this brown. Yes, he has made it. Is he going to be on the red though? I mean, he will be. It's just all about if he's going to be able to take it now into the green pocket, because it's still not going to be 100% of an easy shot there for him to play. And in the end, of course, it is going to be now 3 players that I can think about making 2 or more maximums this season. Zhang Anda obviously is going to be one, making one at the Shanghai Masters to get us all underway, and also making one here at the Berlin as well. Then you've got Ronnie. Once again, he's going to be in all sorts of records for this season, just with that one match against Wakelin. Not only did he land himself a fantastic 150,000 worth of prize money for a bonus, because technically Saudi Arabia counts as a Triple Crown event right now, and if you make 2 maximums at any one of those 4 events, then you get yourself a nice little bonus check too. Wu Yize, yeah, he's made one at the Championship League. I'm not going to say that I know where's the other one coming from, I'll be honest with you. So, Zhang Anda, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Chang Min Yu. No, not Chang Min Yu. I was thinking about someone else. But let me know where was the second one from Wu Yize, because I don't think he was at the International Championship. So, yeah. I'm going to have to talk about, but he will be in the end of the season review too. So for now, it is going to be Trump has lost the final against Selby, and John now, who will be, yes, go now, exactly the point that I was making, because I don't think he had a final against Higgins, to be fair, this season. He had a semi-final against John, which would have put him probably the favourite against Wilson as well, especially with his record being pretty much 50-50 there against Karen. But, I mean, I would expect, I have to say, I don't want to be a jinx person, got nothing against Judd, and I actually want to see him in the final. But I can't really see, especially with the mistakes earlier on that we've seen there from Xiao Guodong, for him to be a real threat. And let's see if I've jinxed him straight away. Can he get through to this red after playing a nice little cannon with the cue ball from the black? I think he is, just about, well, it's not going to be pretty, but he just wants to try and get on with his shot right now. Didn't want to get up from it, and played it really well, to be fair, because he was able to slow the cue ball down enough there for him to be on the black. So, I mean, to finally answer the question, is that I think his biggest threat obviously is going to be Robertson, but he won't have to meet him until the final, which I think Judd Trump is finally going to get the benefit of him being the world number 1, because he's got Ali Carter waiting for him in the semi-finals potentially, and despite everything that he's done so far in this tournament, I still think that it is going to be Judd Trump's match to lose. Because I think if you go one by one through the matches that Ali Carter has played, then you can find an explanation why he's been able to come out on top there. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan, as much as we all love Ronnie and we all want him to do really well, I think he was super rusty in the opening 3 frames. And when you go 3-love down, especially with Carter having such a brilliant game in frames 7 and 8, with his long shots flying in all the time. Then he had Shusi, which must have been mentally exhausted badly there after that 5-hour battle. And a 1-hour decider, it felt like, against Mark Selby. And then Stuart Bingham, you know, the world number 21, has been struggling massively for form this season, as has Carter. But Ali has got that Shanghai Masters final to speak for him. But of course, that was invitational. He needs those ranking points, as the Warrior said. Trump is always playing very well all around the tournament, but in final, I don't know what has happened to him. Well, he's had, what is it now? He's had 3 finals, 2 against Selby, 1 against Jack, and he's lost on all 3 of those occasions. Well, I think it is always difficult for you to play Mark Selby in the final, and I've got a very little knowledge of players that have got a positive head-to-head record against Selby, and one of the first players that might actually spring to mind is going to be Judd himself. He's now, let's focus on the break that he's got. He's got a red available into the left corner, 39 points ahead. And all the 4 remaining reds, apart from this one, are going to be bunched up closer to the pink. So I would expect him to try and make things happen. And he's done it right now. Is he going to be on the pink? He perfectly is going to be on the pink. Once again, after that mistake from Xiao Guodong, it looks like it is going to be Judd to take a commanding lead there. And I think it was in the quarterfinal of the Masters that we've seen Xiao Guodong come up against Buiza, and he just didn't have an answer, which was very sad to see, to be fair, at that point. But is he getting himself into the zone where he's just going to hit the wall against someone as in form as Buiza has been before he came across against the eventual winner, Karen Wilson? And I think that was by far the most challenging win, which Wilson had to get himself through in that semi-final against a player from China. But for now, it is going to be 54 points advantage here for Chomp, as he gets himself into a fantastic lead of 2-0. 2-0, yes, absolutely. It is going to be 2-0, and it's going to be a break of 71 points there. So he had 65 in the opening frame. I think we're about to see the form of Judd there, the best that we've seen all season, because sometimes, you know, you could say that the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan want to be facing the best and the highest ranking players in the world, but I do have one stat for you. I can't think of a better player that when it comes to just getting through the lower ranking players. I know he hasn't done that all year this season, but I think if he gets himself into the semi-final and he's doing everything he can to do that, I think he's going to be impossible to stop. But we're certainly going to see the new person in the... Well, we could see the new person in the final, to be fair, because Sean Murphy against Neil Robertson, I think both of them have been in the final this season. Of course, Jimmy Robertson hasn't, but he's got a minor task on his hands to try and defeat Neil Robertson to try and get into that clash with Sean Murphy. And for now, as you can see in the background, while Trump is going to play this shot on the yellow, he's going to be 2-0 up there. Neil Robertson against Jimmy. So the world number 1 and the world number 3 seems to be coming through the gears. We're about to witness a century break too, which is going to be a great piece of music to the ears of Judd fans. And I wonder where Letitia is, because he's missing a wonderful performance here from Chomp, who is able to get himself a break of 102 points. Could still make it a break of 120 for him to be taking into the 3rd frame. Bit of exhibition. Minor cannon onto the pink. Let's see where the cue ball's going to finish. It's going to be in an awkward position. So I think I would expect a double to be coming up from Chomp's point of view. And it wasn't quite a double, which got Chomp by total clearance, but it's still a break of 107 points, which was a perfect response to the break of 16 points from Xiao Guodong's point of view. And it is now Neil Robertson 2, Jimmy Robertson 0, and more importantly, the world number 1 is 2-0 up against Xiao Guodong. Top seeds flying through here. And, well, certainly are right now, but we're going to be able to sort of sustain the positive pace there that both Judd and Neil Robertson have been setting up to these matches. 38 minutes. The break hasn't even lasted around 8 or 9 minutes out there, and Chomp was able to make a century within that time. Yeah, we're pretty much on track and on schedule there to be keeping up with the pace of table number 2. Jimmy Robertson is about to break off. We're about to get the reds and the colours back in their original positions, and looking forward to seeing more of the action. And I think if you talk about, let's simulate these two matches, I think there's not going to be any reasoning needed why we're going to say that Judd and Neil Robertson are going to be the winners here. Then who makes the final, and also who is going to be taking the title? Because I've got two names. I've got Shaun Murphy, which I think is going to be an amazing match against Neil or Jimmy Robertson, but focus on Neil slightly more. I think that is going to be a fantastic test, and I would say that Murphy is going to be my man in the final. But I just hope that we don't see a complete repeat of the China Grand Prix, of the Xi'an Grand Prix, where he whitewashed Wilson, leaving him with nothing to pot in the entire match, and his only 6 points were scored on the foul shot on the pink at the last shot of the match. Then I think he dominated Ding Junhui as well. He beat Gary Wilson, who has managed to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan at that stage. He dominated absolutely everyone, and then he came against Mark Williams, and he felt like he was shattered, and he also felt like he was just running out of steam, everything going wrong against him. I think he was 7-1 down after the opening session. So in the end managed to just play his best snooker until the final, and I hope whoever we're going to see in the final, whether it's going to be Ali Carter on the other side of the draw, Ali Carter, Judd, or Xiao Guodong, I just hope that the players will be able to keep their best snooker until the final. Where are you from, and what is your highest break? It's on my CV, you can find it, but I'll tell you personally. So I'm from Ukraine, a fantastic Eastern European country, and my highest break ever was 44 points, which I've managed to make twice. Both of them actually missing on the red. So I can't remember what the last color was on the first one, but I think it was mostly just going through the pink. It was basically in and around the pink spot. The black was covered up, and the story goes like that. Trump versus Murphy final, I'll be there for it. I have to say, Trump against Robertson is still going to very much satisfy me in that point. But I would certainly pay the money to watch Murphy against Trump. I think that was actually my first ever match that I've seen in 2014. And I only watched one frame of it because I was 8 years of age and clearly not interested in my attention span lasting over 12 minutes. But, well, Trump can try and afford those long shots, but he can't really afford leaving those reds over the pocket. So, a bit of a contradiction, I know. But never been a fan of those shots because I don't really understand why professionals play them. You know, he's nowhere near being on the black, and if he takes the black right now from this position, I say he misses it. And also, he doesn't make the red anyway. I know he's 2-0 up, but one thing that his defeat against Wu Yize should teach him, and his defeat against John Higgins should teach him too. He was 3-0 up in both of these matches, and yet he managed to lose both of them. So as good as a front runner that he is, he still needs to be careful, and he needs to remember that he's up against the world number 11 right now. And, well, snooker is all about handling pressure, and we have seen this in Trump when he's playing final. Yeah, but I think it's going to be very different if he plays against someone like Jack Lisowski, which has been in the form of his life, and also Mark Selby. I think, as I say, the point that I was going to make against Selby is that tell me one player that has got a positive record in the final against Mark Selby. Ronnie O'Sullivan is the obvious one, but obviously, I have to say, the first final that I've ever watched was 2014 World Championship, and I very much know that it was Mark Selby that came out on top and defeated Ronnie O'Sullivan. So I think Mark Selby is the trickiest player that you can find on the tour to be up against with all the experience and what he brings to the table. So I would fancy Judd Trump to get through either one of Robertson and Murphy of the top seeded players. Though it's going to be Robertson either way, but Neil Robertson, I mean, the world number 3. And I think both matches result 5-2. I could see that coming, to be fair, especially with this one. I think this has got 5-2 written all over it. I know I haven't said it at the start, but I would have had 5-1, 5-2. Yeah, I probably would have said, at the start of the match, I would have said 5-2 in favour of Trump. And with the way that Xiao Guodong has been able to dominate the early part of those frames every single time, and yet It was Chum that made the breaks of 65 and 107. They got him a 2-0 lead. I think Jimmy Robertson is going to struggle to win 2 frames right now. If the other, Robertson Neal, was able to take such an early advantage against him. I think he's going to have to try and throw all caution out of the wind. And try and play the kind of snooker that got him into this last 8 match. So, yeah. Still think that it is going to be some ranking points worth for him. No matter the result of this quarterfinal. But, of course, you always want to win. And you want to try and compete not only for the prize money and for the ranking points, but ultimately for the glory of lifting that title of the German Masters here. For now, Xiao is certainly looking on to try and make it the highest break that he's had in the entire match, but once again, seems to stumble on that black to red positional shot that he's had. 23 points advantage, that's not going to do him any good here. And he needs to take this red on, and he will. The problem is, he's going to trust it to luck there in terms of the cue ball. Landing on the black, and also this red is not an easy one to be taking on with power. He's played it well enough, easy on the black, it just about is. So this time around, he's able to recover to full extent. And played a really good shot there, spreading all of those reds very far away from each other. So once again, just a bit of backspin on the cue ball. Get himself to be lined up for those reds to be taken. And then you can try and run away with it onto the, well, still keeping it at the lower part of the table. And just once again, a lovely shot that he's played, getting the red pretty much outside of the peg spot. Slightly further away to the top part of the table. And this is a great chance now for Xiao Guodong to try and put all the struggles of previous 2 frames behind him. And if he sorts out his consistency as his positional play, can't really blame him on pot success. You know, the shot that he's missed into the middle, which allowed Chum to go for that century break, has been probably quite poor. But apart from that, he's been really solid in all the pots that he's attempted. I think that he's been quite laid back and conservative. High back, yes, Letitia. What was I going to say? No surprise that Chum fan is going to be back here, but still, thank you very much for tuning in to both of the streams. Quite rare you see that to be the case. And yeah, it's not looking good for Chum right now, but he's going to hold an overall lead after the frame is finished. And a bit of a breakthrough. Xiao Guodong gets a first chance in every single one of those frames. The first one he makes a break of 47 points. The second one he makes a break of 16 points. And Judd has gone on to respond, making the breaks of 65 and 107 to clear up the table pretty much from that point. And right now, let's see if he's going to be able to take it one step further and close out the frame without Judd landing a red at all. Because I still think for someone like Xiao Guodong, it is going to mean something if he's going to be able to close the frame away without losing a single point to the world number 1. But for that to be the case, he needs to control the cue ball well enough and, well, lost touch of it slightly. And you can see on the scoreboard, break of 47, he's done it again. Now he needs a response here. This black is not easy, it's quite close to the cue ball. He needs to bridge over those reds. And I still would expect him to make it. It's way too close for him to be missing a shot like that. But still, yeah, comfortably in. Straight into the pocket it goes. And he's played it well enough for him to be on the next red comfortably as well. So the first 50 plus break that we're going to see from Xiao Guodong. As he now tries to go for a little backspin shot on this red. And trying to guide the cue ball away onto the blue ball. I think it's going to be one of the first times that he had to use the blue in the entire break here. And still having the luxury of well, at least 4 reds available. As I say, the first shot that he's had that got all of those reds to spread out, he's managed to play really well. Not sacrificing any position on the black and still getting himself so many reds to be in open play. Basically 14 of them in the entire count. And right now, still just being slightly cautious with the approach that he has. because he's not quite, you know, taking so little time as Xiao Zington, potentially Wu Yize, or even Ding Zhuwei to some extent, but I'd say it's probably more of an advantage to him. Just seems to make fewer pot success mistakes, and is more likely to make the most out of a break that he gets himself into. Of course, hasn't been the case so far in this match, but he may be about to put this stat behind him. So he's going to be 67 points clear with this pink taken into the right corner. So just needs a red after it. Pushes one of those out of his way. And he's going to be lined up nicely on taking a red into the left middle. So ahead by 67 points. Remaining is going to be the number of 75. Play a bit of a stun shot on the cue ball, and he's going to be comfortably away. And now what we want to see from the neutral's point of view is a century break. Trump is going to be slightly disappointed, but ultimately there's nothing wrong that he's done apart from missing that long shot right at the start of it. But I think you're always going to see Trump going for those long shots when he's going to be getting himself into a 2-0 lead. Especially, you can say, at that point, it was very much justifiable because the previous two chances that Xiao Guodong had, he wasn't able to convert into a frame-winning break. On this occasion, he was. Now, let's see if we're going to witness a response from Judd Trump in the fourth frame, or is it going to be a mini comeback completed? And Xiao Guodong is going to be putting all the doubters to the sword and saying that he's here to play. And just because he got a very much negative head-to-head record doesn't mean anything here at all. Game on, it certainly is now. And I don't know what I want in the fourth frame. As I said, I'd probably just leave him to battle it out. Don't have a preference. And if Xiao Guodong is somehow to win this match, which I think at 2-0 would have been a massive task. It would have been a massive call anyway, because as I was looking at the odds, I thought 130 was a bit generous, to be fair, to Judd Trump. I would have been thinking that it's going to have to be lower than that. It's going to be even lower at this stage, of course, with him being 1-0, well, 2-1 up here at this stage. He's not going to be coming back to the table. But if we witness and we talk about this frame in particular, he manages to get, what is it? Well, 12 reds here, certainly, because he was starting the break very much from point 0. Trump doesn't have any of those points next to his name, and also the frame started pretty much with that mistake from Trump. And what followed was a break of 89 points and counting. So he's certainly going to be able to make it the highest break of the match if he continues to pot both of those reds. For now, he had a semi-difficult black to navigate his way through, and he was able to do that nicely. So just trying to get himself for this cue ball to try and land into the right corner. Asking for an extension from the referee. So it just needs a bigger rest. Just Xiao Guodong. As it just rolls this red in. It needs to be on the black or any respective colour, but with the black being closest. I don't think there's going to be any surprise there. Neil Robertson, by the way, has got a 24-point lead. And the thing about the tempo job is that when you're watching table number 1, you can still see what's happening at table number 2 quite nicely. So you don't have to flick the screen to see the official scores at the same time, because you can just see it in the background. And the applause from the crowd are going to be the acknowledgements of a century break being made. Probably unlikely to be the highest break of the match here, though, because Xiao Guodong has got himself out of position here, and the red is going to drift wide of the yellow pocket, which probably would have been the likely destination for it in the end. But it is now Xiao Guodong back in this match, and it is now Judd Trump 2, Xiao Guodong 1. Gets himself on the score sheet, and in the opening 3 frames, we have already seen 2 century breaks from one from each of the players. As Jimmy Robertson, by the way, still looking to try and get his first frame on the board. Can't count this man out. You can't. I will, but you can't. But I still think that, listen, it's not going to be any disrespect in me saying that I think Judd Trump will win this match. And it's nothing to do against Xiao Guodong. I just think that, you know, we all know how good he is. I just think Trump is better. Simple as that. the two table playing right now. Give the 1-2 final players. So, don't really understand the question perfectly, but I think what you mean is give you the semi-final players. It's still the quarter-final stage, so there are two tables playing right now. You can see all four of them, but basically two with no reds, no lighting, or no anything. And then you still have got the Robertson Derby, Jimmy Robertson against Neil Robertson on table number 2, and obviously Judd against Xiao on table number 1. For now, it is Robertson. Keep making the same mistake there. Neil Robertson that is leading 2-0, but Jimmy Robertson at the table and trying to win the third frame to be only 1 frame away. And if you talk about their semi-finals, Sean Murphy is in the semi-final. Ali Carter is in the semi-final. Ali Carter will play either Judd Trump or Xiao Guodong, and Sean Murphy will play either Neil Robertson or Jimmy Robertson. So looking forward to whichever way this one is going to go. But one thing is for sure, Murphy's going to play against the Robertson. And Judd Trump is still going to be the formidable force to try and beat for Xiao Guodong to make his first semi-final appearance of the season. Thanks, no worries at all. Yeah, so that's probably it on the updates. As I said, haven't played a while there, Xiao Guodong and Judd Trump. So if you have a look at their previous head-to-head record, the last meeting was at the champion. Well, to be fair, he was at the Championship League last season, but when it comes to the official tournaments, World Grand Prix was the last meeting between the two of them in 2023. And as I say, the last, what is it now? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meetings, 12 meetings actually, all the way to the UK Championship of 2013. Judd Trump has gone on to win every single one of them. Players' Championship, by the way, Xiao Guodong has this tournament as the only one that he's defeated Judd Trump with in 2011 and 2012. And yeah, somehow they even played the Australian Open there, a tournament that is going to be very relevant in the tennis world right now. But they've done it in 2014 semi-final stage. So something that the both players are trying to battle it out right now. And once again, I'm going to be quite interested to see the response from Trump's point of view. So is he going to try and sort of be the numbers guy and say, well, if I make that mistake again, it is going to be 2 frames each? Or is he going to be, well, I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to try and continue doing the same thing here in terms of trying to go for those long shots. But meanwhile, Xiao Guodong has put an absolute cracker. And he's played this red really well into the right corner. So after a decent break-off shot, nothing wrong with that one. You know, despite the cue ball still being pretty much well inside the D. Xiao Guodong is able to find a brilliant first red to get him on the black and just place through it away from the black ball cushion. And this is going to get interesting right now, because if this one finishes 2 each before the intermission, well, it's going to be first to 3, but also Xiao Guodong only needs 2 more frame wins until he's guaranteed himself a decider. And I've already mentioned just how negative of a record Judd Trump has got in those type of matches this season. So started really well for Trump. Doesn't seem to go the same way right now though, because listen, one thing that is going to be really concerning for Trump is that 4 frames, apart from that long raid which he managed to get in the opening frame, which was brilliant, he doesn't have the opening chance in any one of those frames. That is something for you to be in mind of. You know, it's nice when you've got that long shot weapon very much within yourself, but you know, when you have the opportunity to try and magnet those chances every single time to yourself, force your opponent into an error, or just find a long shot like we've seen from Xiao Guodong out there. Because it's really nice, actually, just realised it's really nice to get a competitor out of the way, because for the China Grand Prix, he was actually the one doing the same sort of thing. Of course, the difference was that he was doing that on the China platform. So, there's one point, as I say, I still want to see Judd Trump in the final and actually win him the tournament. But another thing is just trying to keep Xiao Guodong to be playing, and especially if he's going to be producing a snooker like that. He takes another good red into the corner. So just about time until he was going to commit himself to try and stay on the black for the foreseeable future. And I've mentioned it before, and I think that was at the second frame, and that was the ultimate jigs at that point, when he only scored 16 points. But I'm going to say it again. Does he have a chance to try and target the maximum? You know, he's got the position ahead of him. I'll tell you that for free, because he's got the Reds pretty much all ahead of himself in very good positions there, you have to say. For certainly a frame-winning chance. He's got one lonely Red at the top part of the table, but as you would say, you don't have to worry about it until very much the end point of the frame. But he's about to make it 4 Reds and 4 Blacks. Still not going to be running out of Reds anytime soon. And if maximum still seems unrealistic, then taking a second frame away from Jump and making it around 200 points without answer certainly seems to be a realistic goal right now. And he's just played a really good shot, I was going to say, but in the end he probably is going to have to take one of the best Reds away from the table onto the right corner pocket right here. Force the cue ball off the black ball cushion. No, he decides to try and hold it for the other part of the table, which is fine. Not going to lose any points for that. Just trying to get himself onto the next Red into the left corner, I would say. And, well, I mean, jokes aside, and I wasn't joking in the first place, but this is a really nice chance for a good attempt here for a 147. But one thing as I've actually noticed so far this season, and I might be proven right again, is that the easier the position seems to be, the more of a chance and the likelihood that someone will mess it up. Which, make no mistake about it, as I say, very easy to do. Which is why Maximum was going to meet so much, but I think he's going to have to try and back down on this one straight away. Because the shot that he's taking, I can only see him leading to the blue, which will still do the work nicely in terms of taking the frame. And he's overrun for the blue, so probably was playing for the ball colours anyway, because of how close he ended up to the yellow, how far away from the blue. But of course, Chomp was not going to care about Xiao Guodong making a maximum. What he is going to care about is that he's going to be 150 points without answer. And, well, listen, as much as it's going to be difficult coming back from 3-0 down, 2-0 is a whole different story. Because when you're 3-0 down, you go with the intermission at best, being 3-1 down, just ask Ronnie O'Sullivan, or you can be 4-0 down, just ask Kyron Wilson against Sean Murphy today. But if it is going to be 2-0 down, and then Xiao Guodong manages to sort out his issues of making those unforced errors, makes a century in the previous frame, could still be a real threat for a century in this one too. It's very rarely that you see 3 centuries being made, all well, very much one after another in the same match here. Especially when it comes to 2 different players being able to maintain their form despite the other one being at the table. And, well, Xiao Guodong seems to have taken the pace of the average shot time massively on the previous 2 shots. He was concerned on the yellow, and I'm not going to say that he's been too keen and too eager to try and get this Red into the left corner either. So, he needs to try and play it for the black. I think he had a bit of a cushion in terms of, I think he was worried trying to catch the other Red in the progress, but he's able to do that. And, well, 2 very contrasting starts to the frames, but for now, Xiao Guodong is halfway there to make it 2 same outcomes for Judd and himself. Because of, you know, the 3rd frame was a mistake from Chomp, and it was a long shot that he's missed. The 4th one was a complete opposite. It was a break-off shot from Judd Trump's point of view, and it was a long shot that Xiao Guodong was able to take brilliantly into the right corner. Now just having a look to see if he's going to have the ability to try and take this Red into the left corner and still play the cue ball for the black. Unable to do that, but he's found a way onto the blue to be lined up perfectly. And of course, there's no real reason to be trying to maximize your points here at this stage. Just focus on getting over the line. Make it a break of 70 points, and then you can focus on making 3 centuries on the bounce. For now, though, we've seen it before, 47 points that he's taken against Trump. And that wasn't enough. Now he's got 57. Still not going to be short in reds by any means here, though. He's got one that he can try and take into the left corner. He needs to use a rest, which sometimes can lead to a bit of a problem there, especially on the cue ball's point of view. Because that might leave the way of the cue ball having to go around the black. Sometimes you can have a bit of a mess up during those type of shots. But with just how well Xiao Guodong has been playing so far, especially in the last frame and a half, so that's a very unlikely mistake to occur, although I think it has just occurred. I'm not sure how bad it is, but just as I was saying, and I didn't like it the first time that he was going to play, but he played it so well that I didn't say a word about it, but he's been reluctant so far to use that black ball cushion and have the cue ball to bounce away. He was trying to hold the cue ball for the black, and I don't think he's done enough here for it to be a comfortable shot at all. Trump is having a very good look in the background. He still needs a black and a red combination. Ooh, this is nasty, you know. And he's not got it, and he hasn't got it, and has he managed to get himself out of jail? He has. Because he was playing the cue ball onto the reds, because he was unable to get onto one straight away, he's missed the black, but he also misjudged the cannon, so he hasn't given anything away to Chomp. So the frame would not have been over anyway. And, of course, Trump will feel a bit hard done by, but also I think he's going to be quite happy that he's able to come back to the table. And, well, 162 points now. The Xiao Guodong has scored without answer, but we're not going to see a third century break being made. Very much one after another in the opening mini session. And Trump still needs to find a way to actually somehow escape from this red ball prison. Because he's got two reds very much alongside the cue ball on the left and right part of the table. He's got one at the top of it. So he was always going to be sending it to the black ball cushion, as he managed to cover the red onto the top part of the table. The acknowledgement from Xiao Guodong probably suggests that he has. And, well, the top red is surely the one to go for, because the ones at the lower part of the table are all going to be quite far away from the black ball cushion. And also quite far away from each other. So let's see what Xiao Guodong is going to be able to do. Oh, you could see that red. Well, that makes it a lot simpler, and we just needs to slow down so that he's not going to finish over the middle pocket, and he has just about, but he has. So that's going to be used in a similar sort of way. Trump is going to try and bounce it away with a cross double attempt, forcing it from the side cushion onto the other part of the table. It needs the cue ball to speed up though, and needs to finish it behind the brown, which he has. And, yeah, you got to classify that as a good shot from Chomp. He's still left the red. Potentially, that can be taken into the pocket, but it is going to be taken with a very thin cut as well. And Xiao Guodong needs to be mindful that, despite, I think, the record, when you've got that 58 points advantage, being very much in favour of the players that actually do have that cushion. Because it's a mental fact that you only feel like you need a red and a colour, and all of a sudden, you're going to be set for this frame to be taken your way. I think you'll take it into the left corner, but I also think that it is going to be a very difficult shot for this red to land in the pocket. And he has gone for it, and he's missed it, and he had the black to basically stun it. Well, I mean, I don't know how about lucky in terms of Xiao Guodong with the way he's played this shot. He was always trying to get the cue ball in behind the yellow, but let's see how far away that red is actually going to be from the pocket. And is Trump going to try and force another one of those reds onto the left corner pocket too, because he can't afford to leave it there. And with him unable to get through to it, he may just need to take a long shot, which is going to be all or nothing shot here. Let's see if that's what he's taking. It is. And he was still trying to put a bit of cover on the cue ball, but that's going to go horribly wrong. And he will basically land it on the plate there for Xiao Guodong. And once again, just as I say it, it always seems to benefit whoever's got the lead. Seems to have, well, at least a 70 to 30 to me of a percentage advantage over who's going to be the winner of that frame. Although technically, of course, if Trump was to get into this position, then he'd have every bit as much of a chance for him to be taking this frame away from Xiao. But the player from China is not going to let it slip away from the second time here. And he's now got 59 points advantage, so just one more red needed after this colour. And it is going to be all square, adding into the intermission and a 15 minutes interval for us to be seeing. For now, Guodong just having a look at the lower part of the table here. A bit of a backspin shot having to be played on the cue ball's point of view. And if he forces it onto the cushion, he should be able to get the cue ball down the table here. Has he done enough though? With the power, he still needs a red to find, and somehow, well, I think he's managed to find the only place on the table where he don't have anything guaranteed. He's still got a red into the middle, but yeah, he knows with his face and the expression that he's got, this is not the shot that he should have played. Yeah, you can't back down from this one. You're going to put yourself into the clown picture with the position that he had. He has to take this red. There's no way that he's thinking about backing down for the shot. There's no way, because I'll tell you what will happen. Trump will win this frame, because you can't have an opportunity like that presented and then just scoring 4 points out of it. He might just be going for the red into the right corner though, which will get him some sort of safety, but also make it a more difficult shot to be taking on. He's taken it and he spotted it. Yeah, that's the right way to go on about the business, and he was never going to be playing the safety shot away from the opportunity that he had. But I'll tell you what, he wasn't far away because of how difficult of a cut that actually was for him to be taken into the right corner. Guodong happy? Well, yes, certainly. Sorry, just handed him an extra point. And he's going to be going for the blue here with a bit of a long shot as well, which is going to leave us all interested in terms of if he's going to make this one in, and he will. So, good shot there, similar to the one that you would expect to see at the blue ball shootout. It's the same name at the Black Ball venue, won by Alfie Burden this year, after defeating Stuart Bingham in the final. And talk about finals and his record, he still needs to update his semi-final record here, Trump, and despite him having such a good start to this match, very much compromised by the mistake of his opponents. In the end, we haven't seen any of those in frames 3 and 4. And despite us not seeing a century break, we are going to see 173 points and counting without any response from Trump's point of view. As once again, he just seems to be practicing those blues into the right corner as he takes the second one away. I'll tell you what, for how simple those reds are set up, he certainly has been making the hard job of the opening 16 points that he scored. But he should be able to play for the black and make it a lot simpler for the total clearance, which still is going to be potentially a break of 60 odd points there. So somehow we're going to see 250 plus breaks being made at the same frame by the same player, which is a very rare occasion, I would say. 2-2, it is certainly going to be 2 frames each. Let's have a brief look. Well, don't need to have a look because I can see that it is 2-0 in favour of Neil Robertson and still battling away for that third frame. Neil Robertson has got 14 points advantage. And let's see who's going to be the winner of frame number 3. And I think I know the answer. And the fact that he's got 5 points on the break probably suggests that he's managed to get the blue in. And it is going to be Neil Robertson with a 3-0 lead. So something that Trump wasn't able to do. Neil Robertson certainly was. And with Xiao Guodong doing his best to keep Trump in his chair for a couple of more shots. Meanwhile, he's going to have, well, 200 plus points right now if he makes total clearance without any answer from Trump's point of view. As he rolls the brown in nicely, so just 6 colours for him to finish off on the break of 62 points. To add on a tally of 58 made previously in this frame. And it is indeed Neil Robertson 3, Jimmy Robertson 0. So after us playing catch-up for the opening couple of frames, we're certainly going to get ourselves in the lead with the frame being over. And us heading onto the intermission. And Jimmy and Neil still have to try and battle their way for their 4th frame. But listen, make no mistake about it, I still think that Chomp has got something in his locker to try and absolutely whitewash Xiao Guodong in the remainder of this match, but he needs to make sure he brings it to the table now, otherwise he may leave it a bit too late. And the obvious thing that comes to mind is going to be that performance against Ding Wei, where he had a spell where Ding won 2 frames, but that didn't stop Judd from taking the match on the 6 frames to 2. And also Xiao, another player from China, which he was up against. And guess what? Xiao Guodong is here to play, and he makes a break of 62 points. And it is going to be Judd 2, Xiao Guodong 2. As the player from China certainly ends the first session, or the first mini session on the high. And he's now going to be all square as we head for the 15 minutes break. After the intermission, we'll return, and so will the action.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong, and I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Right then everybody, and we are back to the main action, and it is Xiao Guodong against Judd, and we're back to frame number 5. And after an early attempt there from Chomp, so it was 2 seconds late there. The usual time it's going to start at 35 past, not 31 past. But once again, it's Xiao Guodong back to the table, and he takes another long shot away. Is he going to be able to land on the corner? I think he will be, you know. And yeah, he apologises for Chomp slightly because of the contact that he made in the cue ball onto the black. Forces it out of the way basically, and so gets himself in a really nice situation now. Try and go for the pink into the left corner. I think that's going to be the colour which you were referring to. You can try and yeah, of course you can try and go for the blue too, but saying that, he plays his pink into the left corner. He needs to try and play the cue ball back. Otherwise, he's going to be sending it to the top part of the table as well. So he's trying to do. Look, he has got. And basically taking the rate which I thought was unplayable because he thought he was going to have the other way. The other end in the way. It feels like that's going to be possible. And he's going to be able to go for that little combination shot. We'll see if he's have a plant available too. That's exactly the case. He's going for this plant. It's going it nicely into the right corner. And once again, it is going to be held on. The big frame on the bounce, seeing our first opportunity to lead the break here. Not sure that will be the first person who's going to score a point in this match. Since then, I've always seen after the break going away to Xiao Guodong, and I did say look out for Xiao Guodong being the man in form, but I have to say I didn't really expect Trump just come out with no answer again. So what's it going to be now? 200 points without any response there. From Trump's point of view, it was around 224 before this frame has started. Now it's going to be 229 it seems. Sorry, 239. The pink and the black is going to be in very close proximity there to the black spot. Therefore, the cue is going to be sent for the blue for the time being. That makes the... God, someone's done the same thing again here. I am super sorry. I've done it twice in the same stream. I haven't turned the music on. You haven't got it there, Liam. It was me. I was warned about it once, and I hope I won't make the same mistake here. Sorry about that one. When you put it in for an intermission, you forgot to turn it off. Yeah. We still have the music and can hear you. Oh my Christ, Letitia, sorry about that. There's the guy that tries to focus on the chat on the chat sometimes, and then trying to focus on the frame here. Apologies for that. That was really bad from my point of view. Now then, we should be back to normal, and it's certainly back to normal for the way that Xiao Guodong has played this match so far, especially ever since going 2-0 down. Remember, we've seen before this tournament where he was Zhang under against Karen Wilson. At that point, Zhang was playing really well in the opening 2 frames. Wilson couldn't string a break together. And in the end, he went on to win 5 frames on the bounce. Same with Jimmy Robertson, by the way. He didn't just get to quarterfinals with no reason. He gets himself with a chance here to try and have that comeback against Jack Jones at that point. He was 2-0 down himself. And, well, this is not a great shot there from Xiao Guodong. I think you'll know that better than anyone in the stands as well. He's got no angle at all on the blue. And, therefore, he's just going to be trying to guide the cue ball away onto the side cushion. Trump needs a pot soon. It is a chance for now. And, yeah, I mean, it's incredible how you can go from being 2-0 down and cruising to just being right back in this frame, and technically, of course, ahead of it for the first time since that opening frame. He still has got this shot at the blue, but I wonder what he'll try and do. Well, a bit of a passive approach, but I get that he had no chance other than that. I thought he was actually going to go for the brown. For the way that he's played, he would have had the national angle to try and bring the cue ball down the table, but concentrating on the pot, giving himself a bit of backspin, and still Clearly aiming to go for this red into the left corner, but so much distance. And such an angle which is going to be difficult for him to cue this one well. But he has, once again, played that right shot there. And got it right into the pocket. So once again, I mean, not sure if he was playing for the blue this time around too, but he's overplayed for it. And he's going to be perfectly on the brown. I think he's basically ran out of reds here to try and do something with it. So, shot on the backspin here. I think needs to be applied on the cue ball. And he clearly was just guiding it through. Closer to the side cushion. So he's got one of those reds that he feels like it's possible to try and get it into the left corner. And I think that is the case with him. But, well, once again, that is where you need the pink to save you. It's going to be a really tough shot for him to try and play on the next scholar. And that's why he plays the percentage shot. And he leaves Judd to come back to the table. 38 points. Once again, only one of those occasions there where we've seen Xiao Guodong to finish off the frame within a single visit to the table. But somehow it could have been leading 4-0 had it not been any of those errors on those breaks. Remember, he had breaks of 47, 58, 62 and 104 points. And, well, once again, Trump just trying to send it straight away. Unable to land the long pot. Has he landed a snooker, though? For that particular red, I don't think he has. And despite getting the cue ball quite close to the ball cushion, the same red is going to be playable. And it's certainly going to be playable for Xiao Guodong. I think Trump is going to be in a bit of trouble if the match continues to go the same way here. As the red is played, and wonderfully played it is. But once again, he's not going to be on the blue. And I don't think he's got the angle on any one of the ball colours because the position is still quite bunched up there. I think he needs to try and line the cue ball into the bunch. Therefore, it needs an angle a lot bigger than what he's got on the pink, on the green and the yellow. Come on, Judd. No, that's probably what the crowd are going to be shouting. Don't have a German player to try and shout for. Because the only one that I know, Umar Dikmet, hasn't made it past the qualifying round. And, yeah, of course, Ronnie O'Sullivan being knocked out. It is, well, logically, especially with everyone standing, certainly at this table, you would have more fans for Judd. So they want to see the entertainment provided to them by the world number one, but I haven't seen a lot of it since he was able to get that first century on the board. It's gone really quiet ever since. Great shot for Xiao. He is. But is he going to be able to get himself on the next red? I'm not sure. He was clearly playing for something. And, yeah, can't really put my finger on what he actually could have been. Because he's got the bunch of 6 reds. And clearly there's going to be a plant in there. Well, there is. But once again, this shot has to be played with a lot of power to guide the cue ball onto the side cushion. And, well, that's gone wrong. And is it going to be the first chance in a while for Judd? And the problem is, I can't see the clear red, despite all of them being knocked out all around the table. This is why Trump wasn't in too much of a hurry for him to be back away from his share, because he knows he doesn't have anything easy ahead of himself. Although it's one of the first malfunctions there that we've seen from this Xiao machine. And, well, the red, for me, doesn't go past the brown and the yellow. And that's probably the only one which would have been easier for Trump. So he's got a couple on the lower part of the table, but that's going to be really close to just having a safety shot which you can guide towards the left corner. Last pot time, 18 minutes. That's without intermission, so way over half an hour since we've seen one of those from Judd. When you're watching it, I'm watching it on the WSTV because of TNT not being too reliable for the evening sessions. So I was watching it for the afternoon session. I was watching it on TNT, but this one around just on the WSTV Play. Eurosport 1 here, there you go. I suppose it's going to be better with no Champions League or Europa League this time around, because it's not a Wednesday or a Thursday. And yeah, Trump just playing for a safety shot there. No surprise about it. Getting the cue ball to be on the top part of the table. And despite it looking like it's a straightforward shot there for Xiao Guodong, seems to have his fist in his face straight away and just thinking about what he should actually do about the position that he finds himself with. And yeah, I mean, Trump has done his bit for this particular shot, but he needs a pot very, very soon. And ideally, he wants it to be about as good as we've seen from him. It's really weird how we've gone from 2-0 up and complete control there from Trump, joking about that this match could be over in 2 hours, and all of a sudden, pretty much 2 hours since the match has started, it is advantage Xiao Guodong technically, with him having that 42 points lead. And yeah, Xiao Guodong just going to the lower part of the table to check all the location of the reds. By the way, update, you've got 8 of those. 1 on the left side cushion, and color-wise, you've got 4 on their spots, and you've got pink and black very much surrounding the black ball spot, but not possible into any of the pockets. So whoever gets himself into a chance, and of course this is going to be extra relevant to Judd there. He needs those points. He's 42 behind. He's got 91 to try and make his way through. But it's been pretty much, feels like, over 2 minutes, and Xiao Guodong still hasn't made his mind up and which shot to play. Now just try and guide the cue ball onto the right part of the table. It's an obvious thought, but where are you going to find a way for this cue ball to be far away? And that's why it clearly didn't feel like he could get past all those reds. But this is where the previous comment of the pink and the black being in a horrible position is going to be very much relevant, because Trump has got a straightforward red, but I'd still say he's a massive underdog for this frame because of the points tally. And yeah, I think Xiao Guodong was playing that red to try and push it onto the side cushion. I don't think he was actually trying to pot it. So then Trump needs this red. And, ooh, I mean, that wasn't really part of the plan, but it's worked out really well for Judd, because the red that was closer to the side cushion has been brought away slightly from it. He's still going to be on the blue. And even though he's going to be on the wrong side of it, I think he should be able to try and play the topspin shot in around bulk. Left side, right side. And, well, needs to get past the blue spot first. Or at least take it. And the referee was ready to put the blue over that spot. And in the end, I'm not sure that was planned there by Trump, but he got himself a free colour to play on the next occasion, because it's so much better for him to try and keep the blue on the pink spot for the foreseeable future. And that's probably why, you know, he didn't have the best of angles on the red that he was playing. So he's going to be playing for the bulk colours first. And that's a really intelligent shot there for Trump. As I say, I'm not sure that was totally planned, but surely the fact that he leaves that blue as a bit of a shot that he can use in case he's unable to go for the bulk colours, you know, he's going to be fine with points on that aspect of the game. But he's going to need to get pretty close to the total clearance for him to be, once again, not allowing his opponent to be ahead in this match. And the 5-2 scoreline that I predicted in favour of Trump, well, it looked like I was going to be over-optimistic with Xiao Guodong with the way this match has started, but right now, not sure that's actually the case. Needs the cue ball to run, needs the cue ball to run more than that. I mean, he's on the blue, but, you know, despite this being the advantage shot usually would call it, he's going to be getting the cue ball away from those reds. And he's trying to hold back the power of the cue ball, and he's playing the shot pretty well, because he's going to have a natural angle to try and force the cue ball onto the black ball cushion and try and keep it closer to the blue ball line. So 27 points behind, 67 at the table. He can try and take this one into the right corner. Yeah, the cue ball is just about going to stop in time here for Trump, and he should be absolutely fine. But he needs to try and start doing something with those two reds, and also with their pink and black combination, because, you know, if he can try and stay on the blue for the entire break here, he's not going to be able to do it when he needs a total clearance as well. And I think that's gone wrong there for Judd. I think he was trying to play for the red into the left corner, but instead he's going to be forced to be taking the one on the right-hand side. The problem with that is the shot on the left part of the table would have freed up the black, it would seem, onto the left corner, and basically gave Trump a perfect chance to be taking and making a total clearance. Instead, he's going to have to try and play for the blue and basically do the same thing here for the second time. Otherwise, he's going to be faced with a lot of trouble. And once again, has a good bounce, to be fair, on the white. So just looking to see if he's going to have the pace on the cue ball to try. Well, basically, what he wants to do is to disturb the pink and the black and those two reds next to each other. But you can't do all of that in the same shot and still expect yourself to be perfectly lined up on the red and not compromising the position of any one of those four. Oh, barely got the blue in. And he's all right. He's not perfect, but he's all right to continue the break. I want to see the replay, what's happened to the blue. Because it's played a really nice shot and, yeah, barely getting the blue in. Wobbled in the jewels, but he got really nice contact on the pink and those two reds, forcing the black closer to the black ball cushion. And one of those reds, the one that I think he'll try and take right now, too close to the black ball cushion for comfort, but he should be able to try and roll this one away. Well, once again, I mean, Trump seems to be his own enemy right now because he's playing good shots, but seems to be putting himself in problems too. Just having to breach over this red to try and get through to the pink. And he's able to recover to full extent now, though. He's taken all the power away from the cue ball, making that look rather easy. So then, 8 points behind, and it is going to be advantage Trump when it comes to the middle point of this frame. And who's going to be taking the endgame part of it. Of course, he doesn't need the black. He was always going to need the pink. But he doesn't need the black here, Trump. And he can try and keep it onto the black ball cushion. As he plays the penultimate red nicely into the left corner. So just try and do the same thing with the pink. Guide it away onto the left part of the table. And play the next shot with the rest. Well, I mean, I say, plays next shot with the rest as if it's going to be easy. Could have done with getting the cue ball slightly straighter on this red. This is going to be awkward for him to be going 42 points each. And as I say, at this stage, if he leaves this red, Guodong is not going to need the black either. And you have a straight, wow, this is tough. This is really tough. And he's missed it. Where's the red going to finish? It was way too tough for him to be taking on to me. And I think the red is just going to be far enough from the pink for Xiao Guodong to be seeing this one. And unfortunately, I think Trump should have played the percentage shot here. You know, he didn't really get too close to that red, especially with the power that he was playing that shot with. And the only time when it can go wrong now for Xiao Guodong is going to be on this red. And the next color, the red is in. Ooh, the cue ball is going to be pacey, you know. The cue ball is going to be pacey. He needs to slow down for the yellow. Ooh, wow, that is absolute heartbreak. 2 millimeters shorter, and he would have been just about fine for the brown or yellow. Now he is going to be a millimeter away from the bulk line and on the wrong part of it. So, if that is the time where it's going to be a shift there, Xiao Guodong should have done better there, to be fair. GB Robertson got one back on table 3. Thank you very much. On table 3 table 2. Okay, I get that. Thank you. Yeah, I knew there were intermission because I've seen staff in the background just clearing the table, but I actually thought he was going to be Neil Robertson to be taking it into a 4-0 lead because he had something like a 40 points advantage again. By the way, Robertson making a 1-8 of a century break in frame number 2. Now, let's see if it's going to be Xiao Guodong to try and recover from his mistake. He's been able to get this blue previously in this match, but he wasn't going for this one here. I'll tell you what, he may have played a really good shot here in hindsight, because now he's got 2 points advantage over Judd Trump, and he manages to land a really difficult snooker there on him. And I think he's going to force Trump to try and go the long way round. In terms of, he needs 2 cushion escape here. I don't think he can afford to try and just use the side cushion, which, I mean, that's what he's trying to do. He needs to judge the pace really well then. And he's just trying to force the yellow away. I mean, he caught it well enough for it not to be given away, but I still don't really understand why. He was sort of giving the risk away of if he touches the yellow too thin on either one of the edges, then he was going to leave it over the yellow or the green pocket. But fortune favours the brave. I want Carter versus Jimmy Robertson in the final, please. I don't. I'll be honest. But fair enough if you do. An All-English derby. I don't mind an All-English derby, but I want it to be Sean Murphy against Judd if that's the case, because it's been a while since I've seen a match like that. But look at this shot. If you thought the previous one was good, this is going to be brilliant. Getting in behind the black where there was barely a distance to fit one of those reds or the cue ball in. And if the previous snooker was pretty straightforward for Trump to get out of in the end, well, with how much distance there is in between the cue ball and the yellow, and also how far away the yellow is from the cushion, the free ball is just begging for Judd Trump to be given away. I've got absolutely no idea how you approach this one. Yeah, nice. Well, I've got absolutely no clue. So obviously you're gonna try and play from the left side, which that's fine. That's fine in saying, but it doesn't really get you closer to the truth. I mean, do it off the top part of the left-hand side, then try and make it onto the ball cushion. But if you attempt to shoot it like that, you basically say, if I miss it, I lose the frame. Because if I miss it, I give away a free ball. And with the way the blue is positioned so close to the green pocket, if you give away a free ball, you probably give away the frame as well. Who's winning, Neil or Jimmy? Great snooker. Yeah, let's have a look actually, whilst Trump is still thinking about which shot should he go for. And it is Neil Robertson with 1 point that he scores in the 5th frame. And Trump has gone for it off 2 cushions. And he is going to give a free ball away. Now then, has he got the access to the blue here, Xiao Guodong? Well, he won't change all the things dramatically because he'll still allow Xiao Guodong to try and put Judd Trump back exactly where he was. But at least it gives him a first shot to try and work with. And maybe if you adjust the trajectory line well enough right now, which I still think from 3 cushion escape that he's attempting to pot right now, it is going to be very difficult to try and get on the yellow. And I'll tell you what, he ain't gonna get so lucky the second time, because that blue is all over the green pocket. Therefore, you know, anytime the Xiao Guodong has got a visibility enough that he can see enough of the edge of that blue, he's going to be taking that free ball chance in no time at all. He's not going to change his mind up though. 3 cushion escape, more power, and even less accuracy. I think that's where it's going to be the end of Judd Trump trying. And he's going to be back to Xiao Guodong. Well, I thought so. I'm very surprised to say that I'm wrong. And Xiao Guodong is clearly happy to try and score maybe 27 points here of those foul shots. He's got 10 as the advantage already. And he only needs sort of, well, I say only, 5 more mistakes there from Trump's point of view. And let's see. Nope. Closer, but not close enough. And if the cue ball is going to be getting into the pocket, that's going to be it. And I'm very surprised to see that Xiao Guodong is not taking the free ball chance, I have to say. And if he loses the frame, I'm very much going to blame this for a reason, because, well, I mean, it's working for him at this moment, I say, but I just have a feeling that Trump will get it on the last attempt and something, and he'll still be very much a contender for this frame to becoming his way. And that way around, it's going to be very close to be called a fool there, Xiao Guodong, because, I mean, I understand when you don't take a blue from the long shot because of how much of a distance there is to try and stop the cue ball for the yellow, but, I mean, the previous shot surely had to be taken. Although, I mean, as I was saying, all of that, and Judd Trump gets this yellow on the 4th attempt, I think it was. He leaves it perfectly on the plate there for Xiao Guodong, and I would expect Xiao to be taking this one away. And in the end, seems to have worked out nicely for him. Just needs the yellow to drop in, and then he should be fine for the position on the green. As long as he passes the blue into its own pocket, which should be the case, and maybe he's going to try and get around the green to try and be taking it into the yellow pocket as well. That's what he's tried. Doesn't want the cue ball to be perfectly on the side cushion though, and he will be. So he's got 16 points as his advantage. Do you remember the protest at World Championship like a few years ago? Well, do you mean Just Stop Oil when they covered up on the table and Mark Allen thought the crowd was booing him? Yeah, it's difficult to forget that. And don't really understand what you're going to try and achieve by doing that on the World Championship arena, but fair enough. And who do you think will be in the final? Well, I still think Chomp, but, you know, with every shot that he plays like that, I mean, I'm going to have to try and change my mind on this one, especially with Xiao Guodong getting the green in. He still needs the brown, and it's not going to be the easiest frame ball that he'll ever have in his career. But he should still be able to take it away there. Great snooker, so great escape, but it's a gift for Xiao. Yes, it is. And not a lot to say about it. I'm not going to criticise Chomp for it because he had that very little area at the yellow to try and aim from whichever cushion he was coming from. And yeah, I think he gave his best shot. Maybe just slightly unlucky with the way he could have forced the yellow to go close to the side cushion. But in the end, that's snooker for you. And it is going to be 3 frames to the bounce for Xiao Guodong that manages to overturn a 2-frame deficit and find himself ahead in this match for the first time around. Was the protest on table? I don't know. Can't remember that thing, but I can't really imagine, because I think it was the 3rd round. With all the respect, I can't really imagine Mark Cullen playing on the table number 1. But it may come out a bit harsh, but I don't think it was on table number 1. But anyway, I can't remember. It is going to be Xiao Guodong 3, Judd 2, and the world number 1 needs a response right here, right now. Otherwise, he's going to have a new name, which is not going to be on his Christmas card list, because Xiao Guodong, for only the 3rd time in his career, he's going to be 2 frames away from defeating Judd here. And, okay, sorry, no, it's to say, it don't matter, but I can't remember, so I'm not even sure which year it was, to be fair. It may have been 2024, but could be wrong about that one. By the way, Neil Robertson, he's taken a 3-1 lead, as you know, and he's got a 2-0 lead in terms of points that he scores in the current frame. So still 13 reds to try and make his way through. But yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised with the way that this match has gone, because I actually expected Chomp to get more dominant as the match goes on. Instead, he's only 2 frames away from making yet another loss. And another surprising loss. I mean, they're all going to be surprising when he's the top seed, but, you know, it's not like, with all the respect to Xiao Guodong, it's not like he's played the best snooker of his life and still somehow manages to lose. 5 frames, 5 times, Xiao Guodong is the player to get the first chance. Trump needs to end this right now, otherwise he's going to be down 4 frames to 2. And, yeah, not much more to say about that. He needs this one right now, and he better come quick for him in terms of, he needs to basically try and do the same thing that Xiao Guodong has done, and that is going to be winning 3 or even 2 frames on the bounce there for him. Hope nothing happens this year in World Championship, but never know. Well, as I say, I think they got the message, and I think the security is going to be aware of that now, slightly more. The referee has done pretty, I think it was the 2nd table where the referee has done pretty well to ensure that we didn't have the same issue on both of the tables. And he managed to keep the lunatic away from the wonderful snooker cloth, which was by far the most expensive thing of the 2, in my point of view anyway. And yeah, not a lot to say about it. Now then, Jimmy Robertson is still battling away in frame number 5, of course it is, because we're still leading by a frame there. But the problem is, Judd Chomp is not going to be leading by a frame at this stage, and he's going to have to try and do something about that winning streak of Xiao Guodong. And the man from China being very much on fire here. And, well, you all know what happens when someone like Xiao Guodong is going to be on fire. You're going to have to try and put the flames away Otherwise, they'll get to you there from Chomp's point of view. And he may not be able to do that right now because once again, just leaving this long shot away to Guodong. Let's see if he's going to be able to take it. He has been able to do so far. And, ooh, I was about to say, and yet again, he's done it. He hasn't this time around. And he is going to leave a long shot available to Judd. It's going to be another red. And he's going to be pushing the cue ball in between the reds and the black. What's your favourite snooker tournament? I don't really have one. I mean, massively. I mean, obviously the World Championship is going to be the obvious one to call out. But the one that is going to be underrated, don't know. It's a good question, but probably haven't got the answer. International Championship, to be fair. The one that springs to mind is the one in Nanjing. I really like the arena. I like the way they set up the crowds. And I just love the way that they've got the semi-final first to 9 frames. And they just do it so that you get semi-final number 1 on Friday, semi-final number 2 on Saturday. I just think it brings a lot more to the game. And you basically have like an extra match to try and witness. And love the World Champ. Well, obviously, yeah, as I say, I think that's kind of an obvious one. Because for a fan, you always want a lot of snooker to be seen. But now, Jump was able to take that long shot away rather nicely, it has to say. And for the first time in all of these frames, he gets himself a red and a colour combination before the same has been done for Guodong. And I'm not going to say that he's got everything to try and go back level, on it being 3 frames each, but he has got a couple of reds to try and make his way through. The black should be coming back to its natural spot very, very soon. And therefore, the white is going to be able to try and make its way on the next couple of shots. For now, just try and go for a little bit of a stun shot. 7 points is going to be the advantage here for Chomp. And needs the rest for him to be playing this black one. Well, I mean, he was never going for a rest shot there in terms of the spider, I mean. But this is going to be quite awkward for him to try and cue this one. And, yeah, he's going to be able to take the black into the left corner. And just needs to try and reach the red to be taken into the left corner too. Matt Selt was last year, he lost to Xiao sadly, but maybe this year, if he's in it, he'll have a chance. Well, listen, he's been in the semi-final before this season, and a very surprising appearance. As we had a couple of those at the Scottish Open, but he lost out to the eventual winner of Chris Wakelin. And let's see. I mean, I'm not sure many people will agree on that with you on that one, me included, because of you know, the famous meltdown that he had, one of the other. And I didn't have to say, I didn't see it from the first time, but I was absolutely fuming with him making those faces when Guodong was playing a yellow. A shot into the yellow pocket there. Didn't like that at all. So I can't say I'm sharing the feelings, but you know, I have to wait and see if that's the case. For now, the cue ball is travelling all the ground there on the snooker cloth. And Judd seems to finally get the hang of it here in frame number 6. 23 points ahead. And trying to put a bit of distance in between himself and his opponent. Getting the white to be running around there off the left side cushion. Just looking to see if he's going to have the ability to try and take this red into the right corner. Matt Selt to Tom Ford. Tom Ford. Seriously, answer quicker, but Tom Ford. By a mile. Another black disappears, and it's the 38 points advantage here for Judd. And yeah, he's got himself certainly in the focus zone. He still has 3 more reds available to him. I think the third one that I mentioned can be taken into the left middle, but he seems to be on the roll. Bailey taking 3 seconds in between those shots. Seems to be just running across the table there, trying to hit the next one. But yeah, this should be game over for Guodong. And as far as I'm aware, that's going to be the first frame. How? Well, on all points, really. Name me a point, and I'll say Tom Ford. And you'll have to name me a point for you to try and make a point about Matt Selt, though. And just thinking about, he's not on a perfect streak, though, is he? Because he's now on a, no, he's not. He's on a 1-4-5 at this moment in time. So It's not going to be a maximum attempt here for Chomp. You asked me a question about someone who has to be snooker. Don't know. What do you mean? Don't know. No idea what you mean about it. So, 54 points advantage. And, yeah, he gets this red nicely into the left corner. Gets a couple more of those reds to be in open play. And, of course, we've seen 2 centuries there being made, one of each players. So, I'm not going to say I'm going to be disappointed if we see the third one. Far from it. 62 now, points the advantage of Judd Chomp. And he's got 83 points at the table. So, he's still going for that 145 potentially. Like for the Hawkins or Ronnie or Chomp or something like that. Well, there's no reason asking me because you just tell me, you know? It's the other way around because, you know, if you want to if you want to let me know, you just let me know in the chat and you can make an either or about it. I don't really get the concept. And, yeah, just Trump looking to get this black into the right corner. Plays, he likes to play the shot with the backspin, something that I've noticed on the current break. You can see ahead by 70 points, so he's taking another red into the right corner, and he should be able to get himself a frame on the board here. So, just looking to play for the blue. Someone didn't really seem too happy about it at all. He was shaking his hand as soon as everyone was applauding it. There was the guy just doing this, as I can't believe it. As if it's, I don't know, the world number 128 that has taken the maximum away here from Chomp because, you know, despite Chomp struggling to land those chances when he has, he's been a real force to try and stop here. And we are going to be heading into the first two basically. 3 frames each, and I was saying that I'm yet to actually witness a decider in the, well, basically when I've watched the full match of any one of the players. I know that we've had Shusi against Mark Selby. I know we've had David Gilbert against Xiao. And, well, both of those occasions, actually, the player from China has managed to win. And Haaland or Mbappe, that's a better one. I'll give you that. That's a better one. I'll answer you in the mid-frame break, but probably, I mean, it's a difficult one to be fair, because both of them are playing really well. I mean, Mbappe somehow manages to score 2 goals and his team still loses 4-2 to Benfica. And then Haaland just seems to be breaking all the records this season for the Premier League. So, I mean, different players, very different styles, but I'm probably going to say Mbappe for the flow. Meanwhile, back to the snooker we go, and it's going to be Judd Chomp making a break of 105 points. So, once again, just neither of the players is able to go beyond that point of 105, 107. And 104 there being made by Guodong. So it is going to be 3 frames each. And another century break for Judd Chomp. Means it's all square. And it's down to the last 3 frames to decide the 3rd semi-finalist. Maybe the 4th one by the time that the Jimmy against Neil Robertson match finishes. But, I mean, I'll tell you what. We finished 2 frames and they've barely gone through sort of 20 points there on the frame number 5. So we're about to enter frame number 7, and they're still very much at the stats of frame number 5. Haaland or Mbappe? Yeah, I think I've answered that one. Mbappe for the flair. And I was slightly skeptical when they spent all that money on him, but in the end of it, I think, barring the first half of the season, I think it's worked out really well for Mbappe, but so it has for Haaland. And I actually think Man City played put less money for Haaland than he was for Mbappe because of a good deal that he got with Borussia Dortmund. But I think all that money would have gone on the wage and the bonuses anyway because of him breaking all the records in the Premier League for the 3rd seasons out there. But yeah, when it comes to back to the snooker, you've got Neil Robertson still very much being the target for the 4th semi-final spot. And then Judd Chomp and Guodong. We are starting to enter that endgame part of this match. And I did say before this match has started that if Guodong is going to be taking this one to a decider, I would say he's going to be the winner in my point of view, which I'm going to stick by. But it was a really good response there from Judd somehow, as I say. I mean, it's one of those rare matches that I can only think of about 2 mistakes there that Judd has made, which were significant. And yet he still 3 frames each there, despite him playing pretty much sublime snooker out there. Who's winning the Prem? Well, I don't want to answer that one because it bores me to death. Because, I was watching Australian Open this morning and I get so much more excitement of watching tennis right now than football because of the way that apparently Arsenal just implement this style of play, which Arteta seems to be so happy about, but it just kills the interest, man. Like, I remember me watching Man City and I was like, I don't want to watch them, they're boring because they're always winning, but at least it was fun to watch because it was attacking football. But every single time you watch Arsenal, you just feel like you may as well just go to sleep because the emotions won't change. I mean, I suppose I'm going to be slightly jealous as a Liverpool fan, but I mean, not like I'm happy with the way that we're playing because we seem to be having the ability to beat Karabakh and Marseille and we're unable to get a result out of Burnley, but it's going to be up to the coaches and the players to try and figure out. Now then, we're going to be back to the snooker though, and frame number 70 comes. But yeah, Arsenal basically, but I'm not going to say I'm happy about it at all. Xiao Guodong is on a break-off shot, and this is interesting because he has left a long shot available here for Trump, and let's see if he is going to be taking this red into the left corner. Not sure that is the case, but Trump is having a very good look at this one because he knows that he's got the black available to him into the right corner should he play this shot pretty well. And then a bit of backspin, maybe very similar to the one that was the opening red of the entire match here. He's going to be playing this with topspin, which suggests that he's going to go for this red, and he will, and he'll get it brilliantly there from Trump. And once again, he seems to have a really good start to the frame. Let's see if he's going to have a really good finish. Hawkins off forward. Barry, I really like Barry. I think he's one of the most underrated and not going to say unlucky players because I don't really believe in luck. I just believe you're right, your own luck. And yeah, but it's so sad to see him on the receiving end of the UK Championship last year, the German Masters. So many titles, you know, the one against Ronnie in the World Championship. You just hope all the time that he still is to win one of the majors, or you know, at least for it to be a massive tournament that is going to get everyone talking about him, because I certainly think like he deserves it. For now, focus is on Trump, and not for long. I did have this feeling, I have to say, I didn't say it, but for him to be taking this pink on, he surely wasn't confident at all in taking the black, and he missed it, and well, unfortunately, this is going to give a chance to his opponent again here. Unfortunately for Trump, fortunately for Xiao. And the reason why I wanted to say it was because the last time he's landed the first shot of the entire match prior to the previous frame was the long shot, which he couldn't follow up with a colour. And well, I mean, is Xiao Guodong going to be unravelling here? Because I'm not going to say it was the easy shot that he missed, but I certainly would have expected him to put this one away. And when you expect the players to be playing their best stuff at the end of the match, all of a sudden, we see one of their worst performances here. And, well, Trump has got a chance to try and go for the red into the left middle. Let's see if he's going to try and go for that opportunity. So, well, he's having a look at this one, but he's having a look more towards the yellow pocket, I have to say. He's got a potential opportunity to try and force one of those reds closer to it, and well, maybe he's just looking for the angle to try and play an actual safety shot instead. Has he played this one well enough though? Because he was obviously trying to tempt Xiao Guodong and force one of those reds closer to the right middle. I think he just about played it closer to the lower part of the table here. Shall I be a sneakers player or a football player when I'm older? Well, it's a bit of a weird question because I say the other way around. When you're older, it's more difficult to become a football player because as much as snooker is still a physical game, football is a lot more so. So I think you've got more of a chance in becoming a snooker player, but it depends in how you play both of them. And it also depends on the competition that you get in football and snooker out there. But I think it's going to be up to you to decide. And I'm going to be very much down the bottom of the barrel in terms of the people that you should ask about it. Now then, Xiao Guodong taking this cue ball onto the left side cushion. I think playing the obvious shot. Having so many of those reds to be so close to each other. Just needs to make sure the cue ball is going to stick to them. And he has. Played it with, well, judged the pace really well, basically, of the shot. Gives the turn back to Chomp without having the ability there from Chomp to try and do anything about it in terms of landing a super dangerous shot that will put Xiao Guodong in all sorts of trouble. But, of course, to say that before I've actually seen the shot that Chomp is going to play here. And, yeah, you're basically going to have to try and think about the way that Chomp gets himself out of this situation. And, well, he puts the cue ball nicely to closer to the top part of the table down the spine. And puts the brown in between the cue ball and the majority of those reds. I'm watching table 2, poor Jimmy Robertson. Well, that probably suggesting that Neil Robertson is taking full advantage and may still be the third semi-finalist. Especially with the way that this frame has gone so far. Although, if this yellow is going to be caught full ball, we may see a bit of action going on from Judd Chomp's camp. That's what he's looking at. He's trying to find a plant because the yellow was caught full ball. And Chomp, of course, technically, he's going to be ahead in this match by a point. But he would love to put a break of 70 points in between himself and his opponent. Well, this is close, but I think the Reds are probably looking in the wrong direction. Because you can't really make adjustments to the shot, apart from the other side of it. And that's the last thing that Chomp will want to see. Also, the cue ball control is going to be second to none. So it's going to be very difficult to try and get on the next color here from Chomp's point of view. So he's going to have to try and do something about it here. Because ideally, you don't want to leave such an invitation away to your opponent. Because you never know, the cue ball might be in a different position in a couple of shots time. And then Xiao Guodong is going to be the player to try and take this one on. So that's what Chomp is looking at. Once again, just checking one more time to see if two of those reds, I think this should go for them, but in those circumstances, I'm not sure it's the right idea. So that's controversial, yes, and probably a bit contradictory, but if he's got an option of playing a safety shot, I'd say go for a safety shot, because you're no longer in a position where you're leading by 2 frames to nil. And the fact that he's taking so much time on the shot, which is going to be over 100 seconds, when he gets down to hit it, it is going to be very interesting to see the outcome of this. But he's clearly going to go for it. And he's gone for something else, which I can barely call that a great shot. But he still manages to get the cue ball into a perfect area. So I suppose it was a really good shot that he's played. We'll be here tomorrow, yes. And yeah, it just reminds me of that phrase. Till the end of the week, I'll be on the beach. Until the end of the week, we'll be here covering the German Masters. And then Monday, well, not Monday, Tuesday onwards, we're going to have the World Grand Prix featuring the World Number 1, the World Number 2, the World Number 3, and ultimately the return of the King, Ronnie O'Sullivan, still aiming to play in the Hong Kong Grand Prix. And we'll see if he's going to be able to get past the second round this time around. He's got Joe O'Connor to play in the first one. And we all know what happened the last time he's done that. He went on to be the runner-up in an incredible decider of the Saudi Masters to Neil Robertson. So, Xiao Guodong this time, just looking to ensure he's not going to push any one of those reds close to the right corner. And he hasn't done that. So, mission failed. Have to try and get it on the next time. If he's going to get this next time in this frame. Because, I mean, it's a similar situation to the previous shot, though, because Chomp hasn't got a corridor, which I can see here, directly ahead of him, which will get him in a comfortable position in terms of trying to get on the next color. The black is out of position. The pink, obviously, is as well, because it was Chomp that actually missed that one. Robertson on a 27 break. Neil, yeah, I've seen it in the background. As I say, the thing that I really like about Tempo is that you watch table number 1, but you still see what's going on in table number 2 really well. And get that it's probably not so comfortable for the players, but I suppose when you're so zoomed in on what's happening in front of you at your table, you're not going to be looking around too much, trying to find out what's going to be happening with the other players. I'll tell you what's going to be happening with Judd. I thought he was going to see the cue ball to disappear into the green pocket, but in the end, it's not going to be the case. And, well, for that being said, it's a really good shot there that he's played, because if the cue ball drops, it's a mistake, and it's a ball in hand for Xiao Guodong, but because he hasn't, it's going to be super close to the green pocket, compromising Xiao Guodong at the same time, with him trying to play basically a carbon copy of his shot that Chomp has played on the previous occasion, and I think he's done a really good job of that. Once again, doesn't want to catch the brown full ball, and he does. So, that's not the best part of the shot. But I still don't think, with the way that he was always going to be sending the cue ball to the top part of the table, I don't think he's going to have to take a lot of punishment on this one. And just try and get him into a position here where he can't give anything away here to Chomp. And he seems to have done that pretty well at this stage. Right, so let's have a look at what the actual scoreline is going to be, because I know that Neil Robertson is on the break. So he's about to lead 4-1. And it is going to be 46 points advantage there, so 35 at the table. I think it's just a matter of time until Neil is going to be over the line and make it a 4-1 lead. So really difficult for Jimmy to try and continue that fairy tale story of his. Neil is definitely winning. Well, he is at this moment, but never quite know what's going to happen. And Trump has played a really risky shot there, but I think he's managed to get away with it, in terms of he's still left a long shot available, but at this stage I have to say, no longer sure if leaving a long shot actually gives a disadvantage to you, because of brown and pink being covered up by each other, black being out of position too. So basically you've got around 3.5 colours to try and make your way through, and has Xiao Guodong done enough on this particular shot? I think he just about has. You know, he pushed one of those reds so close to the right corner, and despite that being the case, he probably has played one of the best safety shots of the entire frame here, getting the green to be the cover point for that red, and the cue ball not having the direct access to that red either. So Trump needs to make something for himself, and well, we try to basically roll up the cue ball to the same red. Ooh, doesn't want to hit it from behind with too much angle, and he hasn't. I think this is going to do him just about fine there, as he gives the turn back to Xiao Guodong. I'm just having a look to see if he's going to have a chance here, Xiao, to try and guide one of those reds into the left corner. Safety game on table 2, and safety game on table 1 too. Sorry, on table 1. Yeah, table 1 too. Yeah, correct. Pardon the pun, probably should have said safety game on table 1 as well. And it doesn't look like it is going to end anytime soon here, with Xiao Guodong not even looking in the way of those two reds closer to the left corner. Clearly suggesting that they're not going to be there to be taken. So just forces the red slightly away from the cue ball, and we may not be too far away from a re-rack agreement. Left the red on for Jimmy. Well, he can afford to do that now, can't he? Because he's 35 points at the table, and he's got around 45 points advantage last time I checked. So, of course, he's going to be leaving the red out for Jimmy, because he wants to try and take it away from the table. But you play it safe. Well, in other news, every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes. And, yeah, just a safety shot there, once again being played from Chomp's point of view. Gives the turn back to Xiao Guodong. So, yeah, as I said, I don't think we're too far away from players green on the re-rack, because this may go on forever. And Xiao Guodong may have the option to try and play the cue ball away here from the main bunch, which, of course, is going to be the only thing that he's interested in right now. Has he not left the plant next to the right corner, which Judd can try and disturb here with another red? I think that's exactly what he's having a look here right now. course, the benefit of the previous shot that Xiao Guodong has played was the fact that he got a couple of those reds away from each other. And he got the cue ball to the top part of the table too. Well, those two reds are going to be looking perfectly for that plan to be the reality. And, well, Chomp has gone for another short selection. And he just managed to spread those reds across the entire lower part of the table here. So we've got 14 of those. And yet, it's far from ideal in terms of trying to have an easy chance of making a break of 70 plus points. But of course, with the reaction of Xiao Guodong, you can clearly suggest that he doesn't have a straightforward safety in mind either. Because, well, the thing that you would have to think about first is going to have to be a cross double, which you can try. But I think the bounce away of the cue ball is going to be slightly too risky for you to be going for that approach. As we can see, Robertson is looking to probably get himself out of a snooker situation. Neil, as he gets for a shot away from the cushion. So let's see if he's playing this one too well. I think he has, with the acknowledgement of the crowd suggesting that. And for now it is back to Xiao Guodong, trying to make things happen here on frame number 7. Started their second mini session really quickly, but has been slightly slower for the start of this frame. So he's going to try and take it with minimal power there on the cue ball's point of view. Just wants to try and hit it on the red from the edge, or maybe from behind. Has he been trying to hit this one from behind? Because surely would have been the first thing that came into his mind there. And because of the way that he's got those reds available to try and take into the right corner, it would seem. And what a snooker from Jimmy. So Chomp just having a look to maybe basically trying to do the same thing there that he's done on the previous occasion. But this time around, maybe playing the shot with slightly more power. And that way, of course, the red being away from the black ball cushion even more at this stage. He's going to force Xiao Guodong to try and find an alternative route for him to be hitting one of those reds. And ultimately not leaving a position to his opponent either. So then just have a look at what his decision is going to be made there. So he's looking at the green pocket on the majority of the times. That he's probably just looking at the approach that he's about to take. So left side cushion and all the way down to the top part of the table, it would seem. And maybe he was just trying to get the cue ball to be super close to the pink and brown. And if that was the case, then he's played the shot pretty well. Missed the frame won by Chomp. Let's walk the dog. So come on, Judd. Well, has to be done. But as I say, he could have been doing it at the start of this frame, and you still would have been here in time, because it feels like around 20 minutes or so the frame has started. Maybe even more than that, and yet we're still only 1 point into it. No sign of a re-rack agreement, because I think Chomp has got the upper hand, forcing Xiao Guodong to try and go the long way around. He's been able to do it last time around. Ronnie or Chomp, the only player that will say he's going to be my favourite one, he's going to be Ronnie. Apart from that, you've got Xiao, which I do have a bit of hidden sympathy for, because basically I was saying that he's overrated and he's never going to win the World Championship last season. And then he's gone on to prove me wrong completely and defeat everyone, Ronnie included, on his way. 18 minutes now since the frame has started, so not quite long enough for you to walk the dog. But with the way that this one has been going ever since that opening thought from Judd, and especially with him missing that bank into the right middle, which didn't help the momentum. And by the way, he made a century there on Tisha, so he's got 2 of those in the 3 frames that he's won. And I think Robertson just about killed the frame on table 2, passing one of those reds or colours. Certainly at that stage, he was always going to be getting one way, so it's going to be 4-1 advantage to Neil Robertson. Didn't miss so much. Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. Century break, yes, but you know, as I say, if you knew the way that this frame has started, and by the way, I mean 2 minutes or so for this shot to be taken on for Xiao Guodong. And still no real guarantee that he's going to be the one that gets him into the level playing field when it comes to this safety battle. He needs the cue ball to slow down. He doesn't want it in the pocket, and it's perfectly in the pocket. I have to say, I don't really understand what he was trying to do there, because the closer the cue ball was getting to those reds, the closer he was to me saying the inevitable, which was going to be the cue ball dropping into the right corner. I mean, of course, the foul to be made on purpose is not allowed. And I'm not suggesting that that was done on purpose, but it may not be the worst case scenario if Judd Trump has got this lot. Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be some twist there if this foul was basically done in such a stupid fashion there from Guodong, and yet it doesn't lead the way to Judd Trump going for this long red and making it into the pocket, and that was the case. I mean, yeah, slightly weird situation, and I'm slightly surprised that Trump sort of went for that, but I suppose on the other hand, when you've seen 20 minutes of going back and forwards, you have to try and make things happen. The problem was it didn't work out, and now Guodong has got a lot more straightforward shot into the right corner to be taken. 4-1 to Neil Robertson. Yep, understandably so. You can see it in the background. Jimmy Robertson just watching on with Guodong. So then, is he able to take this red away? He is. And after an opening opportunity there, presented nicely on 2 occasions to Judd Trump, now is going to be time for Guodong to try and guarantee himself a decider at least. And I already made my point correctly about, well, those type of frames that Judd Trump had to participate in so far this season. But, of course, any curse has to be lifted at some point, and no one said that Judd Trump is not going to be able to win 2 frames on the bounce if he is to go on and lose this one, which at this stage, I have to say, there's no guarantee in it at all. He's got the blue on his spot. He's got all those reds spread out quite chaotically on the lower third of the table. It's got the black out of position too, and the second that it returns in its spot is probably going to be unplayable on 80% of the table. And straight away, Guodong has played a bit of a bad shot. I was going to say a nightmare, but then I realised that he's going to have one of those reds closer to the right corner. But once again, you don't want to be using those easy reds when you haven't got the black on his spot, which you can try and play for, into the left corner. So that's going to be very much a problem there for him. So Guodong just having a look to see if he's going to have ability to try and get the cue ball to basically be played with a bit of backspin off the blue. Take it into the right middle. And then get the white to be closer to the left side of the table here. So once again, that will eliminate one of the better reds that he had. Very much within his grasp. But at least it will allow him to try and continue the break for at least one more shot. And needless to say, it's still not going to be easy for him to try and get on the colour because of the way the reds are going to be spread across the blackboard cushion. And that was always going to be the difficulty. And he's upset with himself, but he should be upset with him on the previous shot, which he will be anyway. That's when the damage was done. And if you leave yourself with such a difficult shot, he had 3 breaking points there to try and get the cue ball past. He had the one along the straight line, which you can try and do with a lot of topspin. He had the one closer to the blackboard cushion, and he had the one further away to the left side cushion there. And he was unable to miss all 3 of them. He missed the first 2, but not the last group. And in the end, the break of 13 points is not going to be enough for him to put any real advantage here on Trump. So let's see what Trump is going to be doing here. Is he going to go for another long shot? He was. Needs to make sure he avoids the pink on the way to the top part of the table. And he's done pretty well on his cue ball control. And that's about as much as he could have hoped on the previous occasion. Giving the turn back to Guodong here. So yeah, it doesn't really seem like we're going to have an immediate breakthrough. Saying immediate, it's been 20 minutes since the last real chance was presented there, apart from that one with Xiao Guodong, which I did say at the time it was going to be really difficult for him to make a break worthy of, I don't know, 25, 30 points at that stage, let alone something bigger than that. Only just tuned in. How's the match so far? Well, it's decent, but it's been quite slow in the last 30 minutes or so. It was really good up until this point. You know, frames coming in and out. Trump had a 2-0 advantage, despite Xiao Guodong having been the player that had the first chance in each of the first 5 frames, and then he was able to turn the page on himself. And frames 3 and 4, making a century and 250 plus breaks, gets himself into a 2-all draw at the intermission, continues that form at the 5th frame, and has another break of 47 points or so, I think. And then Trump responds on the 6th frame, finally, despite him not doing a lot wrong. He did go on a losing streak of 3 frames in a row. And yeah, that's how we got into 3 frames each, and then it feels like it's been half an hour since this wasn't started, and we've barely moved any closer to establishing the winner. We may do now, though. It depends on where the cue ball's going to finish, because one of those reds has been left over the pocket, and Xiao Guodong reaction says it all. I mean, I tell you what, the position is a lot better than what it was on his opportunity, but it's still very much limited in terms of all the colours that we've had. And yeah, you've got the black in decent play, you've got the blue basically on this spot, and you do have some of those reds which can be taken as long as you provide them with colours. Huge frame though, this one. Both will be feeling edgy. Yes, you can understand it. And I'm very surprised. I am going to be very surprised, sorry, if Trump is able to win this one. And for the reason of, you know, this being such a lengthy start to it. Doesn't really come across as a player that is able to dig really deep. But, well, he had a chance. And I think he's going to be really disappointed with the way that he got no action at all on the cue ball. He got a couple of reds to get moving, and he got the red into the actual right corner pocket, which he was playing for anyway. But, I mean, he can't take this black into the middle because he's covered up. He doesn't have the access to the blue. He's not going to take the green on either. So it's all about just trying to get in behind the pink, I think. Using the green to it. Probably didn't have the angle to get in behind of it, so just put the cue ball alongside the red, which he got so close to the right middle, so that it's not going to be easily playable to Xiao Guodong here. Who's playing better, Xiao or Trump? Well, it's a bit of how long is a piece of string. It depends on which way you try to look at it. I think in the safety battle, it's been Xiao Guodong's game to lose, but when it comes to taking their chances, it clearly has been Trump better of it. Would have played the pink too. Well, I have to say, you could play the pink, but you can't risk it at this stage. It's way too late for those type of shots. B, for the cue ball to be so close on the black ball cushion, it's a really difficult pick. And C, if you take this pink, it's 6 points for you, which is fine. But there was no way that he was getting on the next red. And trust me, if there was a way, but I have to say, I don't really like... From Trump's point of view, I don't really like the way that Xiao Guodong is looking at this red right now. And he is trying to cut it into the middle. So, well, I mean, can I just retract the previous statement? If he was playing this shot like that, I can retract it back straight away. Because Xiao Guodong got this red into the middle, but he ain't going to be on the colour himself. So, it looked like it was a mistake from Trump. But, once again, it looks like it's not going to cost him anything. At least we're getting through some of those reds. And eventually, we're going to be... on for a straightforward clearance for one of the players, but it still feels like we're a couple of space years away from that. Light years, I should say. Indeed hard. Well, it was. And, well, let's see if Xiao Guodong is going to go for this pink. And I can tell you that he won't. And, well, I'm not sure he did. I mean, it's a bit of a weird shot that he's played because... yeah, I think this could be a bit of a weird short selection from Xiao Guodong's point of view, because I can understand him trying to get 6 points. It's going to matter at this stage, but I can't really understand the way that he's played that shot with basically so little power. And that's exactly why. I thought he was going to take a bit of time, but he basically left this pink over for Trump, and you can't do that in professional snooker, and that is an amateur mistake. And that is the worst mistake that you can make after such a lengthy battle. And the worst thing is, Trump knows that it's a horrible mistake, and he's not even going to take that pink because he has the ability to play for the black, and he basically is going to leave that pink until he gets himself out of position. That is a horror mistake from Guodong, and he's going to cost him very dearly come the end of this frame, I guarantee you. Neil versus Murphy is coming. Well, it was always going to be coming ever since that 3-1 advantage. But, of course, you can only say that when it's actually confirmed. Now, then, from Trump's point of view, he needs to make sure he pounces on this mistake and gets himself that 4-3 lead. As I say, don't try and tempt the fate. Don't be playing with snooker gods like that. If you can avoid the decider, do it. And if it means for him to try and win three frames on the bounce, you better make sure you do your best. 30 minutes now since the frame was started, and we finally seems to be getting closer to the bottom of it. So 6-point advantage here for Trump. Should be able to push the cue ball through this red. Try and guide it onto the ball cushion. I think that's going to be the time where he uses the ping. And that's going to be tactical for two reasons. A, he just cleared up all of those reds, apart from the easiest one, onto the top part of the table. And he needs that pink on the lower part of it because he doesn't have that colour in between the blue and black, which may help him sometime. That will be a great match, Sean O'Neill. Yes. And remember, it's the afternoon one, so that's going to be an extra good news for it. And yeah, I'm not sure if we've seen one of those. Yeah, I think I've mentioned that. We should have seen it at the English Open, but we didn't. So now 14 points is going to be the advantage here for Trump, as he gets all the easy reds out of the way. He's still got a couple of those, but they're going to be slightly more difficult than the previous couple. He's got the pink, blue and black all on their spots right now. Of course, black is only playable into the left corner, but I don't think he's going to be too upset about this one, because he's going to have the reds, basically, which he'll try pot into the right corner. And that'll free up the black into both of those corner pockets in no time. I think the main thing of focus here, he hasn't played a good shot here, but he may be able to get away with this one. If he gets those three reds with three expensive colours, he may do all the damage here to Xiao Guodong. And of course, all of that will come from that weird shot on the pink. And a fantastic long shot. You shouldn't forget about it. You know, you can focus on the negative, but you should also give massive credit to Trump for making that brilliant long pot into the left corner. Maffei Ford 100% there. I don't know what you've got against Tom Ford, but I mean, yeah. If you were to give me Hossein Maffei or Matt Selt, I genuinely don't know. I'd have to go exactly in the middle. Total points, 374 each of the players, which is quite surprising given that Judd has made 2 century breaks and he's currently leading with 37 points advantage, despite it being 3 frames each there, but he should be leading 4 frames to 3, as long as he's able to get the black in. Do Carter and Ronnie still hate each other? Well, I've seen I don't think there was ever hate. I think there was, you know, certainly a lot of heat in the moment, or if you talk about the 2018 World Championship, I should say. And, of course, they're not going to be best friends with all the history that they've had in terms of the rivalry. Ronnie doesn't care about it, but the only reason he doesn't care about it is that Trump gets the frame ball in, tried to spread the reds, but in the end, he pushed one of them closer to the right corner, but he's going to have the other one in the way. And the reason why Ronnie doesn't care about it is that because he has been defeating him every single time in his career, pretty much, apart from that famous shoulder barge in the World Championship in 2018, which got everyone talk about for 2 reasons. Because it was Ronnie that actually initiated it, and you know, when Ronnie sneezes, the media writes headlines about it, and also because he was the player that lost out on that occasion. Also, he was having a bit of a hard time. And the point that I was going to make is Carter did say after his win over Ronnie is that, you know, they're all fine. And you could see that anyway. There was never any needle prior or after that match. You know, there was never loads of love. I'm not going to say that there was. And Chomp is not happy with the way he's played this shot after all the time that he's taken on it. And, well, it still leaves Xiao Guodong needing snookers. To be honest, even if I support Chomp tonight, Xiao is doing great long pots too. Yes, he is, and I have to say, I mean, I'm sorry, Xiao Guodong, I was not familiar with your game. Just as I say that, he's made the mess of an easy shot. And he needs the black here. Well, he can try and settle for the pink, but he can't afford to be just getting this red without a colour. Of course, he needs snookers anyway, but if he doesn't get the pink in, he'll need 2 snookers, which he's going to potentially get that free ball into the equation. If he gets the blue in, he can only tie with that 1 snooker, but still, the blue is going to be far from ideal from the angle that he's got. He has made a couple of those previously, but that was in the diagonally proportional part of the table. And yeah, he hasn't made this one. And I think that's going to be frame conceded. It is going to be 2 frames on the bounce and an opportunity for Judd to be the final semi-finalist. It looked like he was going to be the 3rd one. And in the end, it doesn't seem to be the case now with Neil Robertson defeating Jimmy Robertson. And it is Judd being 1 frame away from repeating the scoreline of a couple of previous matches. Certainly the one that sticks to mind, as I say, Ali Carter against Ronnie O'Sullivan. And you could bring Xiao Guodong against John Higgins to mind as well. But ultimately, as he avoids the decider, once again, remember, he only lost out 2 frames prior to this match has started in the previous 3 rounds, losing none against Kwai Chong, Ryan Day, and losing 2 of those against Xiao Wei. In the end, you already lost 3 of those, all on the bounce, one right after another, to Xiao Guodong. But as he's able to put his foot on the gas pedal again, maybe he's going to be slightly comfortable come the 8th frame. And he's still able to make the list of 4 semi-finalists, with 3 of them being from England and 1 of them being from land down under. So I'm just looking for the confirmation there that it was actually Neil Robertson that won. Because with the timing, it would be logical, but just looking at the scoreline too, 5-1, yes. So far, 3 matches have finished today. Have finished 5-1. So 3 semi-finalists there. Murphy, Carter, Neil Robertson defeating Jimmy Robertson, Karen Wilson and Stuart Bingham with all identical scorelines. Of course, this match is going to be out of the ordinary. And it's still the matter of who's going to be the last of the 4 to join Neil Robertson, Sean Murphy and Ali Carter. And play the captain, of course, in the semi-final. Do you think Jamie played terrible tonight? I think Neil was too good. You are really flattering me if you thought that I was going to keep an eye on 2 tables at the same time, but I didn't. And I've seen some highlights. I'm not going to say that I've seen the entire match of him against Jack Jones, but I've seen some highlights, and he was really good when the chances were presented to him. So I'd say that, you know, you can't get into the quarterfinal by accident. And I think he's played really good 3 rounds, but in the end, Neil Robertson was just too strong for him here. I feel Judd has had both Neil's and Murphy number in recent years. He always steps up to those 2. I can see his job coming to an end, and in perfect time with the Worlds around the corner. Exile, good comment. Honestly, that's what I said. No matter what you think, I do not see Judd not winning a tournament before the World Championship. And I don't care that he hasn't done so for 12 months, but I feel like it's been 12 months too many, and especially with, you know, Karen Wilson having that ability to just turn up with horrible form at the UK Championship, losing out in the 1st round, and then just bang, with the flick of his fingers, he's back in, playing some great snooker, defeating the likes of Wu Yis and Neil Robertson, and John Higgins in the same week, and yet all of a sudden, he wins a major, and he's 2/3 of the way in of completing the Triple Crown set. Now then, it is gonna be Xiao Guodong to try and come back to the table. So, well, he's gonna have to try and go for this red into the left corner. I'm not sure if that's gonna be the best possible way for him. And yeah, then he's going to try and do something about the other couple of reds, just pushing them all to be in the same pack. And manages to play, well, decent in terms of the way they got those reds away from each other. But in the end, not quite decent enough for this cue ball to be beyond the bulk line. He's going to be taking the brown spot, not for the first time as well. Especially with the, the previous safety shots that he had in all of those frames. The cue ball is going to have to be sent to the right corner of the table here from Chomp. Let's see if he's got the ability to try and bring it up to the top part of the table too. And maybe play for the bulk colours. He should be able to do so. And he's played an absolute cracker there. He's going to be nicely lined up for the blue, just about the top part of it. And I think, as I say, we're certainly entering the end game point. And it's Judd Chomp that seems to be on top of his game right now at the moment when it matters. So then, 1 point is going to be the difference here, but not for the first time, but also there hasn't been too many moments like that. We've seen Judd Chomp to be the player with the first spot, and this time around he finally gets a colour with it. So he still has got a couple of reds to try and make his way through with the blue, you would feel, before he's going to be able to get on the black. Pot success decent from both of the players, 92% from Judd Chomp, 91% for Xiao Guodong. Chomp making 110 out of 120 shots. And couldn't quite see what the stat was for Xiao Guodong. Now then, if he's able to go for this pink onto the left corner, should be able to try and give the cue ball a bit of a side spin. Push it away across the table and closer to the right corner. I think he's played the shot really well once again. The pink should be going onto the brown spot this time, as the cue ball is probably not going to travel that far for the foreseeable future. Once again, I think Chomp has to try and make the space around the black slightly more, well, visible at that point. But just as I said, that the cue ball was not going to be heading for the bold colours and the pink. That's the same shot that Chomp has played. I think he was by accident. I think he was trying to play for the blue. Just overrun for it slightly. And in the end, still looking to. And the job on a high there for him. And you never know. Maybe it is going to be the 4th century of the match that we're about to witness. With Chomp still having that ultimate search for 100 centuries in the season. And still doesn't seem like he's going to be the man to chase for this moment in time. He takes the green instead of the pink, and I don't think he had the perfect touch in terms of the way that he's landed on this red. So still needs to try and compose himself for one more shot. He shouldn't be panicking too much just yet, because he's still, well, pretty much in control of this break. Certainly control of the way that the match has been going so far. And yeah, if you could try and get yourself into the top part of the table for majority of those shots, then you should be able to try and get the pink on its spot. Once again, just playing the shot here. So 24 points is going to be the advantage. And apologies there, the OBS studio has gone off again. So not the first time that's happened. The same thing in the match of Ali Carter and Ronnie O'Sullivan, but it should have been reconnected pretty quickly. 25 points here is going to be the advantage for Chomp. And Xiao Guodong, I mean, slightly weird that he is going to be sitting there just waiting for his fate to be known here to the world, because of especially the way that he's managed to handle the middle part of this match. He was very much Judd Chomp to take the opening part of it, then he was Xiao Guodong for the middle part, and then the endgame part just seems to have been closed off by Judd Chomp here too. Although he's not quite there yet. He's got 33 points on the board, but we've seen it before. Especially that match against Elias Desert springs to mind, where he was 3-2 up, playing pretty comfortably, yet unable to make it stick and progress through to the quarterfinal of the English Open. And that was the beginning of quite a bad run there, which probably ended at Belfast, for him to be the runner-up to Jack Lisowski. And for everyone that was saying that they're not going to be scared of Trump for the foreseeable future. Well, they should be now, because apart from the obvious players like Mark Selby and Sean Murphy, because of the things that have managed to win so far this season, Karen Wilson has to be in there as well. Despite him not winning a ranking event, he has won 2 massive invitational tournaments, one of them being the Triple Crown too. You are going to have to wait for Trump to be entering that top 5 player zone of this season. And he's played another good shot there, because the way the cue ball was going to be heading towards the black, he was always going to finish with a minor distance in between the white and the black. But he manages to find it with a perfect line there of the black looking perfectly in the pocket. As he plays this shot through it, he gets the cue ball the other way around it, and he's got 2 more reds to try and add to the 46 points, which he scores already. So, you're just looking for the shot into the left corner for now. Plays it nicely, and Chomp is able to just try and send this cue ball to be lined up for the black. 47 points advantage. Good morning, 6 AM in Malaysia. Yes, that's how I'm gonna be feeling when I'm gonna be watching the Australian Open final, or Australia Grand Prix in Formula 1 there. But shout out, and he seems to be here for the right moment of the end game part here of this match. Ouch, morning to you. Yeah, top of the morning, that's for sure. And still, there's going to be some way to try and begin your day. The problem is, for you to be witnessing the semi-finals and the final, you're going to have to try and do the same thing, but it seems like you are going to know the lineup, because that surely was the shot that he's going to take Judd Trump over the line. Beautiful cannon. Gets 2 reds in open play, and that's going to be more than enough for him to be surrounded with in terms of points, potentially being next to his name. Just pushes one of them away, closer to the right corner pocket, so that hasn't really gone to plan too much. Enough tennis, more snooker. Nah. You want to do both, that's what you want to do. And also, the bonus of having the Australian Open and the German Masters is that they don't mix up. And you can't be saying enough tennis after what we've seen today with Alcaraz, Zverev and Sinner against Djokovic. When it comes to the semi-finals, it doesn't get any better than that. 5-setters in all of them. Yeah, brilliant stuff. But yeah, the benefit of having a German Masters and Australian Open is that you can watch both of them. And, well, that's gone slightly wrong there for Chomp. I mean, he's over the line. But in the end, he's got 67 points remaining here. So, Xiao Guodong will come back to the table, which probably would not have been on the mind of Judd Chomp. And let's see what he's going to be trying to do here. Maybe get those reds away from each other. And just try and put a bit of distance in between the cue ball and those reds. He's playing for a double. Yeah, I've just taken a second there to think. I probably wasn't playing for a double, because he was too far away from the middle pocket. And he was probably playing for the black to be compromised. Couldn't quite play well enough, so the red is still playable. And the black is still technically in a playable position too, but this position is going to be horrible for Xiao Guodong to try and make his way through. The tournament prize money isn't much respect for winner and honor. Yeah, but Peter, that's the same thing as the British Open. That's the same as Home Nation Series. So, I mean, I think it would have been quite weird if he was offering something like £300,000 because of it being a ranking event as well. But I say that, I can't believe that they would allow Saudi Masters to be the second tournament of the season and allow 500,000 worth of ranking points, because as much as I love Ronnie, and it certainly has helped him, but, the fact that Robertson basically could go on a complete break after it, and same goes for O'Sullivan as well, it just makes me feel like it's questionable that they've put it right at the start of the season. I watched the replay of Djokovic and said, oh man, I remember, because there was the interval of Wilson against Murphy, and I didn't want to start the stream of the second in the session because he was serving for the match. And I was like, just give me one more point. And in the end, as soon as he's done that, I was like, well, no way he's done it. But fair play. I mean, 38 years of age, and yet he still has got everyone chasing him. But I just feel like, especially after 5 sets, it'll be difficult for him to try and challenge Carlito on Sunday. Trump throws on. Thank you for covering. Happy. Yeah. Listen, I think it is going to take a bit of time for that to be official, but Judd Trump has done all he had to do. And just looking to try and land one more of those long reds potentially. And he's going to be through to the semi-finals. Maybe this is the shot that he's going to take. No, he just pushes the black closer to the cushion. Puts another red onto the side cushion too, and it's just a matter of time until Xiao Guodong is just going to give up and go for a shot which isn't there. And technically can afford to play one of those reds with a pink, but I think he'll want to try and delay that for as long as he can. Meanwhile, just taking the red which was put on to the side cushion previously there by Judd. But Trump is still going to be in the advantage because of him putting the cue ball onto the black and forcing the most expensive colour even closer onto its own cushion. So I think at this stage he can afford to go for those long reds. It's just a matter of when, not if. He's gone for it now. He's missed it though, so it is going to be Xiao Guodong to come back. Of course, he hasn't left anything. He was dropping the cue ball for the black ball cushion in any case, so I think wherever that red has gone, as long as it wasn't over the middle, he was never leaving it on, even if it would have been over the left corner pocket, which would have been the intended pot anyway. And so make it the end of Xiao Guodong's campaign. So as he rolls this red nicely into the left middle, it is going to be the end of Xiao Guodong. And there's a handshake in between the two players, so Xiao Guodong clearly wasn't sticking around for too much time. And it is victory for the world number one that marches on and remains the top seeded player still to stand in this tournament as he's looking to end that 14-month drought. And ever since that title in 2024 of UK Championship, happy for Trump. I bet you are, Letitia. Congratulations as his fan. And, well, we'll see a lot more of Trump and his match against Ali Carter. Looking forward to it when he comes tomorrow. Evening session will be there. Certainly one of the players that, not going to say I didn't expect, but probably weren't on the top of my list before this tournament started. But neither were Shaun Murphy or Neil Robertson. 4 players, 2 finalists. Only one of them can be the winner. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you all around for the semi-final sessions tomorrow. Shaun Murphy against Neil Robertson and Judd Trump against Ali Carter. All to play for as we enter the last 2 days. Thank you very much again, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for watching.